You're watching the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
First week of June almost in the books, and we're already looking to August because on August 9th, as you can see right there on that sign here at Best Bet St. Augustine, you can win that. How about that? That would be a lot of fun to get your hands on. All you have to do is come down and play over the next couple of months, just part of it. We'll tell you a little bit more about how you can win that jet ski and have it look good on the back of my Nimick Buick GMC truck. Pulling that thing, drop it in the water, go for a spin, get away from all of you. I mean, not that I really want to get away from all of you, but that's how you do it. We'll tell you a little bit more about it. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Good to be back down here. We'll have some guests along the way. We have our Let's Go Fishing segment. I don't know if you can fish on one of those things. Maybe people do. I'll have to ask Paul Dozier about that. You can still send in some of your fish for every Thursday on the show here, sports at actionnewsjacks.com if you want that. And we'll have our fishing report going into the first full week of June here in Northeast Florida. That's at 11:30. Kevin Sullivan's going to stop by, I think. He's planned to. Of course, retired Hall of Fame coach. Well, retired Hall of Fame coach just made it official this week, although we kind of have told you about it for a while. Marty Lee from First Coast, and there's a new hire there for the Bucks football program. We'll tell you all about that. So Sully's going to stop by. He likes to meet us here at Best Bet St. Augustine when we come down. Since he's now down in the Palm Coast area, it'll be good to see Coach Sully. We are at Jaguars OTAs, by the way, and I hear former owner Wayne Weaver is out at Jaguars OTAs today. Olivia Tasley just telling me that. So Liv and Marcel will have that covered until about 11 o'clock, and then we should get some reaction in after that. Liam Cohen, he will talk in the podium. Brian Thomas Jr. speaks as well, and we continue our conversation with Travis Hunter. And yesterday, what we played with Travis Hunter was about Brian Thomas Jr., so we'll share that in just a little bit if you missed it on the TV side on CBS 47 and Fox 30. So a lot happening here on a Thursday as we get set to rock and roll. Oh, I didn't mention Austen Lane will join us here in just a little bit, too. Later in the show. He will stop by as he continues fight camp down in South Florida. Brent Martineau here. Jason Hamby back in the booth, back in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network studios. And Hamby, I just put this out there right away. What is the worst way to lose a baseball softball game? Did you see what happened last night in the softball game at the College Softball World Series?
I did see the 3-0 count base hit to put Texas up 2-1.
That was it. Yeah, so that was so it was 1-0. Candidate who's been unbelievable. She's the $1 million pitcher for Texas Tech, who came over from Stanford, and they've been unbelievable. Really nice story, and played very good softball overall. They were winning the game 1-0 in the sixth inning, first and third, and they're trying to intentionally walk. I think the best hitter on Texas, even though she was over her last 10 or 11 in this World Series and in the playoffs, but they didn't want to deal with her, so they're putting her on. Well, you can't just say, hey, 4 pitches like you can in college baseball and in Major League Baseball now as well. So you have to throw it. And really a couple of them went right down the middle to begin with, or at least the first one. And then on 3-0, it was high, like where you expect a kind of a pitch-out type thing to be, but it was right down the middle, and the girl hit it in the 5-6 hole for a 2-run single that essentially won the game in the bottom of the sixth inning. I mean, so my question, we were talking about, like, what's the worst way to lose, like that? Or we saw, what was it? It was the 10-inning game, like last week, where someone won on a bases-loaded walk. And that's always a stinker, too, right? I hate that. I hate the bases-loaded walk to end any game. It's just like, it just takes all the drama out of it. I saw some games in high school this year end, I think, on a bases-loaded balk. That might be even worse. So what happened last night versus a bases-loaded walk are two of the worst ways I can figure out how to lose a game. Which one's worse?
I definitely think the walk is worse because you didn't even make the other team earn it in the slightest. At least with the 3-0 pitch down the middle, the girl still has to, first of all, be ready to swing, not with the bat on the shoulder, and then she's got to barrel it up, and it's got to find a hole. Like, your defense still has a shot, hypothetically to make a play. But obviously you can't defend the walk, and you give yourself no shot to win, to get an out, do anything if you walk somebody to lose the game. And I think that one's just way more deflating because just like such a letdown. It's just like, you got to be kidding me. Something I've done a million times in my life, throw a strike, and I can't do it right here, and we lose the game because of it.
Yeah, it's like she actually did it like twice. Like you just fall asleep, right? I mean, you're falling asleep on the play, and even my wife was like, we couldn't believe it. She's watched. Steph's like, well, your fielders aren't really even ready either, right? I mean, they're supposed to be ready,
right?
But when you're walking somebody, you're kind of just like standing there. And this was out of the reach of the shortstop, and there was a runner on second. So even if it's a normal pitch, you can make the case that the shortstop might have fielded the ball, wouldn't have thrown anybody out, would have been a tie game, runner on third as well instead of 2-1.
Right.
So, like, there's a lot going on there. And not only this, Hamby, we're talking about the best pitcher in the game. I mean, she's the absolute best pitcher in the game. And then there's another element of this that doesn't get talked about because it worked. What if you're the Texas hitter? And that's the last out of the game, and you just, like, ground out to the pitcher or the shortstop.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Right.
So there's a lot going on there. Like, I get what she was doing. Allison Benning hit a home run on a intentional walk pitch earlier this year for UNF. Actually hit a home run. And now, does it bring it back to, well, maybe baseball should be throwing that intentional walk pitch too. My wife has asked me really for the last couple of weeks, why does softball not just let them go on base? Why do they have to throw it? And I was like, I think the reason why they have to throw it and baseball doesn't throw it is totally a speed element, right? 99 out of 100 times what we saw last night is not going to happen.
Right.
So to speed up the game, baseball is a slower game and has been slower, and they've been trying to speed it up. Softball doesn't have that problem, or at least people don't talk about it in that way.
Right.
So I think that's the only reason softball still throws it. If baseball was a faster game, they would still throw it probably too, but it's just an element to speed up the game. So I was like, hey, Steph, that's why they throw it in softball, because you never know what's going to happen. But there was so much going on to play like that. I just couldn't believe it. That's the best pitcher in the game the last couple of years.
Do they talk to her after
really
the game?
Inexcusable.
Like, does she talk to the
I didn't
media?
hear any of this. I'm sure she. I don't know. That's a good question.
What's her name?
I don't know if you can find that or not. Kennedy, Canady, for Texas Tech. Nige. It's just. Here's the other part of that. And I don't know if she usually talks after games. I don't know if she would be on the – I got to assume she would probably have been on the presser. Maybe just the coach goes. I don't know how much they protect the kids in that or the young adults, if you will, in that setting. But, man, oh, man, it's just amazing. It was amazing. And there's another element of this, by the way. I think if that's at the professional level, obviously it is getting, whoa, it's everywhere today. I think if it's at the baseball level, I think you're absolutely destroying it as well, right? There's a ton of criticism. It got me thinking last night, it's like, I don't see criticism all over the place for that pitch by Kennedy, and she's obviously the best in the game. She's getting paid $1 million now in NIL money, so there comes a responsibility. She's handled all that wonderfully, by the way. She really is good. But I don't feel like there's like this overwhelming criticism on a pitch like that there would have been maybe in baseball if this was in Omaha or obviously at the pro level. But I do think that's a different animal anyway.
Brent, the catcher's not even setting up really outside. Look at the catcher.
Yeah, well, you can't. I mean, but it could be a catcher's balk if you go too early. You still got to catch.
In baseball,
right?
they jump out to the right when they used to do it. They'd stand there, but then they'd already be inching more, and then as soon as the pitch was done, they'd jump out to catch it, but like well into the other batter's box.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if she's uncomfortable throwing it, right? Because that's where you should be, well into the you got to But you can't go too soon. You can't. I'm assuming that's the case in softball too. But yeah, usually you put your hand out and you go over it. Like and Hamby, like that was not that ball ended up going right over the heart of the plate, just high.
Right.
It wasn't. It was like the second time in the at bat that it had happened, and I think that's why this girl was like, "Hey, you do that again, I'm going to hit it."
Right.
Like she was ready to hit, just in case, and they were not ready for what happened. So, but it got me thinking just real quick. We won't spend too much time on this. We'll get into the Jags and some football stuff in a moment, which is always what we do. But do the women's sports get criticized less? Like, are we afraid to criticize? Is it just not across the board as it doesn't get as loud because it's not the numbers aren't as big? I mean, listen, college softball numbers are really strong. Like, we're talking about the growth of women's sports in a booming kind of way between flag football, but really more for TV purposes, like college softball World Series and softball playoffs, and then also like the WNBA and even the college women's basketball tournament. Like, I know there's the beef between like Reese and Clark, and that thing has gotten a lot of energy. And I think so now Reese gets criticized because there's like a polarization to her. But overall, like in these kind of moments when mistakes are made, I don't feel like it's like, oh my gosh, all over the place. And that might just be because, well, on a daily basis, talk shows all over the country aren't talking about if they had won and nothing had happened in that game. But I do think that if this was Omaha, my point here is like if this was Omaha and this was Texas versus UCLA or whatever, I think whoever threw that pitch would have – I mean, this would have been everywhere this morning.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's on like all the talk shows today or not. It's just so it's an interesting dynamic. Where are we getting to women now? Look at talking about $1 million player. The pay is pretty. There comes you kind of open yourself up, right, for criticism. We say that about college players all the time on the men's side. Mm-hmm. So just kind of an observation. I don't know where it's at. I don't really have a strong opinion. I just feel like this was an instance where in our sports world, this is getting lambasted today across the board, and it'll be interesting to see if people bring it up on the ESPN shows and other shows and what they say about it. It's like, oh, too bad, or oh, my gosh, but not like how the heck does that happen? Because, quite frankly, it's how the heck does that happen?
Right.
I mean, if that happened for the Covenant Warriors or the Daytona State Falcons, the worlds that we both live in, I wouldn't be smiling this morning.
Right. And apparently the announcers last night were rarely mentioned like that aspect of it, which is the entire aspect. Like, how does that happen? They kind of just moved on.
Yeah. That's a little bit of my point. Like, they are very sunshine and rainbows promoting the sport. I understand. But if you listen to the analysis often coming out of the college softball stuff, it's not very critical. Like there's a moment or two, like but not critical. Very sunshiny, presented in a way. Now listen, the sport is also presented in that way too. It's got a lot of attention over the years. Like, how are these girls still smiling in these intense moments? Like, there is something from a psychology standpoint that they have really tried to influence at the higher levels, where there are a lot of pressure on these young ladies and the cameras are on, everything else, and they seem to handle it very well. You don't get that on the men's side, right? You're not smiling when you're down 3-2 in the seventh inning of a college baseball game in Omaha. Like, the intensity is real and you can feel it. I'm not saying the intensity isn't real in Oklahoma City, but you feel it a little bit differently because of the way the players react to it. So I agree. I think you're right. And that's a little bit my point. Like, okay, Jessica Mendoza, like, used to play this game. Like, you're a pretty respected analyst. Like, don't you kind of have to hammer her here for even allowing that to happen? Shouldn't you be second-guessing the coach for even intentionally walking a batter who is 0 for 10, 0 for 11, and it's first and third situation? So now you're actually putting your pitcher at risk of walking in the tying run, even though she throws a ton of strikes, but too many strikes in this situation. That's actually how they framed it, Hamby. If you go back and listen to the broadcast, they're like their instant analysis of it, well, Kennedy throws so many strikes, she threw one too many type of thing. It's like, come on now.
All right.
She made a terrible mistake, right? Like, she made a terrible mistake. And as awesome as she's been, as much pressure as there's been on her to deliver, and she has delivered, she didn't deliver in a big moment, and that was like inexcusable to make that kind of pitch. So, yeah, it's an interesting deal. It's kind of feels like, hey, isn't that the elephant in the room? Like, you can kind of
walking on eggshells.
You got to give it this kind of attention. Yeah. So it's an interesting. That's you must have just looked something up where people were saying they weren't very critical.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen all that scuttlebutt on Twitter. I'm just kind of thinking that myself.
Yeah, because I was looking at them trying to find if she spoke after the game, and she did, and it was only just like this 3-second soundbite where she said the loss is on me, but surrounding all of that were quite a few comments of, how are the ESPN announcers just bypassing that? That's like the worst mistake we've seen in years, like that you. So that's kind of the prevailing thought. I do think that there's so many levels to it. One is just college athletes in general. We are still in a mode where we don't treat them as professional athletes. Now, Kennedy, I don't know anything about her, but I have heard about this $1 million pitcher. She's a professional athlete. You're getting paid $1 million, right? But we are hesitant to treat them like this, and some people still have not fully shifted how they see college athletes. There also is just a general celebrate women's sports, where that really phrase or kind of thought isn't just – that's great, but it's just not there in men's sports because it's never had to be celebrated because it always was in a way. So when we're trying to elevate the women's game, it's like just celebrating the sport in general, I think kind of plays a almost maybe a subconscious role in the fact that we're hesitant to criticize because we have grown the game so big. And it is cool that, you look at the ratings for a game like this, they are off the charts. So we kind of almost don't want to – any form of criticism would almost be contradictory to, no, we're supposed to be celebrating just the fact that this is big, that this is awesome, that it's fun, that these girls are really talented, all of those things.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like that's kind of what I'm wrestling with too, and I don't know where we're at with it, and also don't know which one's right or wrong, right? Like you spent so much time promoting the sport, why you should enjoy it, what you like about it. Well, in our society, in our world, at least in our mediums that we have, what takes it to another level is usually some sense of polarization.
Right.
And that's where the criticism comes in. That's where the debate comes in. That's where there's like, oh my gosh, whose fault was this comes in. That's what elevates a game like or a league like the NFL, right? Or a conversation we might get into in a little bit like robo-umps and whether that's coming to Major League Baseball. So from rules to performance takes it from a level of, oh, that's kind of cool, people are involved, to, oh, people are like fanatical about it now because they're talking about all these different things. And it is, I don't know where it should lie. I've always been I think it's a little weird to criticize collegiate athletes like over the top. I will criticize collegiate athlete for playing the game the wrong way and being a knucklehead and doing things like that, especially at the higher levels, but not even at the higher levels, just because I think there's a way you should play the game and you should know about the game and all those things. And that could be for basketball or football or any sport you're talking about. But I think it's a little overboard sometimes, the criticism, but I wonder if that's now morphed because of the NIL. Now, what the NCAA is trying to prevent is that has morphed because of gambling. Like you see it during these broadcasts. There's a PSA they have, like, hey, basically says if you lost a bet, don't take it out on the athlete. Yep. And what that is more about is like getting in their DMs and making threats, because that's real deal stuff. Like people do that. People do that. Professional athletes, people have done that to collegiate athletes. But they've welcomed gambling in and embraced it so much that they've opened that door as well to allow that to happen. Now NIL treats it a little bit differently. NIL, to your point, you just called her a professional athlete because of the amount of money she's getting paid. We wonder, where is that line? If you make $1 million, does that mean you get more criticism? If you make $100,000, do you get as much criticism? I think we're trying to figure that out. And while we're used to criticism in our sports world, and it's become like the okay thing, this seems like an outlier when you don't get criticized that much for something that you probably should be criticized for.
Yep.
And I the question is, have we gone too far anyway in March Madness and others like college football, because people are so insane about it that they are over the top anyway, even before the gambling and the NIL even came into play? Or is this really the better way to treat a college mistake, right? Or an error that happens to an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid? I don't know that answer. It's a little bit to each their own, and I'm not going to stop it either way, because I can't. So we might be too far down that road, especially when it comes to like college football and college basketball. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like there's a sense now that people have said, hey, the gambling, not so much, but the NIL part of this has made you an entity where you open yourself up to criticism. Right. And I don't know if that should be true or if that is exactly true, but I feel like that's now a feeling around collegiate sports, because that line of college athlete versus pro athlete has certainly been blurred in a big-time way. Listen, the bottom line is you can get a college athlete making a couple $1 million or whatever it is to play quarterback for Ohio State, going to get a lot of criticism from fanatical fans. Well, that guy's the same age as a player like Travis Hunter, who now, if he doesn't perform on a Sunday afternoon, is going to face some criticism.
Right.
They're the same age. One's making a little bit more money, but they're both making money, and pretty substantial money. And they both are playing in front of fanatical fan base. Like, the line has blurred. That's the reality of it.
100%. And because really the only reason why we have defaulted to criticize less originally of college athletes is because of the age and the money, because we almost would treat them as like boosted high schoolers, because if somebody makes a big mistake in a high school game, well, you're not going to criticize really a high school kid, right? Or you never would in the past, really, because first of all, you don't know them and you don't know anything about them, and it's a minor, right? And that's how we've kind of originally treated college kids, is they're just education, right? They're an extension almost of a high school kid. They're 18, 19, 20. That's why we're also very hesitant to criticize them when they make off-field mistakes. Oh, because they're a 19-year-old, like technically still a teenager, right? Or they get a pass for some things that a grown adult would not. Well, that line again is being blurred.
Yeah, good point.
And I'll put out one more thing about it is, the more that we know about a person, the more we criticize. If this is a player we don't know anything about, if they make a mistake, yeah, we can criticize them. But so many things, when we criticize fill in the blank Travis Hunter, well, when Travis Hunter's criticized, people are going to pull a million different aspects that have nothing to do with whatever that on-field mistake. They're going to pull that into it because they know so much about him, right? In most softball games, you don't know anything about these girls, right? You don't know about their personalities. They don't really have off-the-field personas. So that's another element of, well, this is just a blank face in a sense. All I can see is that one individual play, so there's not much to go off of, versus I've been watching this guy on the field and off the field, on the mic, in the interviews, on his social media for 10 years. So I feel like there's a comfortability, and I have a lot more ammo, in a sense, to fire off some tweets or whatever, because I know this player very well.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, because I actually would take that in two different ways. And I know, because I've actually argued for this over the last couple of years, specifically when it comes to the Jags. I think a lot of your points are right. I think, like you say, the more we know a player, the more that opens them up to criticism because we know more about them. Probably true from a general consensus. But what I would argue is, the more we know a player in Jacksonville, let's just say the Jaguars or your home team, wherever you are, I think the less you actually criticize a player. And that's or a coach.
That's
because
why
you have built up equity. You feel like there's a relationship, right? There's a relationship there.
That's why you've argued that umpires of high school games should come out before the first pitch and say, hey, my name's Bill. I have 3 kids. I'm looking forward to getting a hot meal from my a home cooked meal from my wife after this. I just want to go home and I work up the street at the plant or whatever, then we'd probably be a little bit less critical because, oh, yeah, Bill is a family man and all this stuff.
Listen, nobody is on board with me, or very few people are on that. I genuinely think on the psychology of this would actually happen. Because what I think is it's not a conscious thing that we all do. I think it's more of a subconscious thing. My point is, listen, if you know Tony Baselli, and you all know Tony Baselli because you've met Tony Baselli, you've crossed paths with Tony Baselli, you've said, hey, what's up, Tony? Like, you've had some kind of interaction that's like, hey, that was cool, I saw Tony Baselli. At some point, if you're a Jags fan. Does that mean you can't be critical of him? Absolutely not. I think there are going to be times here over the next whatever that's going to be critical. But the fact that you know him from the last 30 years, the fact that you remember the playing days and really like that, or know that he's been in front of a microphone defending the organization and really feels strong about the organization and loves Jacksonville and loves the fans and everybody else, like, that's an equity built up that subconsciously I don't think will have you calling for his job as immediately as you would of somebody else that you didn't know, to the point that Hamby was trying to make. But I think it goes the same way. I think this is where Doug really failed as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He didn't seem like he was extending that olive branch to anybody in front of a microphone. That's the only time you guys get to see him. But I'll tell you, behind the scenes, there wasn't a lot of that even with us in the media. Mm-hmm. Like, there just was. I mean, yeah, it wasn't bad. But I'm just saying it wasn't like, hey, let's go talk about this, or why we think this, or whatever. There weren't a lot of those kind of things. And I think that hurt him when things started to go bad. And so I think I think the opposite is true about a guy like Gus Bradley. And you'd be like, oh, Brent, you just like Gus. Yeah, I really do like Gus because I got to know Gus. I think we knew who Gus was all about, but I feel like you did too. The fan knew him too. And I just think as a whole in the media, I don't think anybody intentionally was like, oh, we're going to go to bat for Gus Bradley here. No, I think what happened was instead there's a subconscious of, I know what this guy's about. I kind of feel like he's told us what he's trying to do here. It's a different perspective of it. Whether it's right or wrong, I can see where he's coming from. And again, does that give them a little bit more equity, a little bit more rope, those kind of things? So I think like the whole conversation is fascinating because I think so much of it's a subconscious. None of it's a calculated thing. I never got in front of a microphone during the Gus days or even the Blake Bortles days, and it's like, I'm going to really defend Gus and Dave today, and Blake today. Never did it. Like, it never crossed my mind. But was there a tone subconsciously along the way when I was on the radio or TV or asked about it or critical, even when we're being critical, of like, yeah, but it could work if, or let's see if. Well, you knew those guys well. You had good perspective on those guys. You kind of had talked about their side of it before, even if everybody hadn't heard it. So I think there is that's why I learned this really. Like, I was like, hey, there's a little bit of a subconscious there that now you have to figure out, does that cloud you, right? As from my standpoint. When you're in front of a mic, you have to figure that out. And there's a little bit of a learning curve, I would suggest, there too. But I already think this regime is off to a great start in Jacksonville because I think they're relatable to the fan. This isn't really about Brent. This is more about the fan and everybody else. Why are the fans behind everything they're doing right now? Well, it sounds fresh. It's not Bulky or Peterson or Press Taylor, so it's different. But I also feel like there's a sense of, we're relating to you. We're speaking to you. You're in this with us. And I thought that was a major miss by people like Urban, by people like Bulky, by people like even Doug, to bring them on the ride and say, you're in it with us. Like, this is all part of it. In a place like Jacksonville, I think that's important. Is it as important in a place like New York or L.A.? Probably not. And I'm not sure you can actually accomplish it or do it. But I think that's part of the reason this regime's off to a nice start and part of the failures of the last regime, if that makes sense. So, Hamby, a lot in there with to get us all the way back from softball to this time. I think this is where my word comes in again when it comes to the Jags, is transparency. Mm-hmm. Like, the more it seems like they are letting you in, that means you are along for the ride. The Doug part, the Trent part, it was like, we're smarter than you.
Right.
We got this. And as soon as it was like, no, you don't, that becomes a major issue because that's a clash because nobody wants to be wrong anyway. And then when your win-loss record showcases that you are wrong and you're the one making the decisions and we told you all along that you're wrong, like, that becomes a major thing. So I think that's what happened in Jacksonville over the last year. I really do. At the foot of it all, I believe that whole lack of transparency hammered Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke. They might have got hammered anyway. They might have been out anyway. But I really feel like that was a major part of their demise.
And I think that somehow sympathy plays a very small role in this. It could be really bigger than what we think, because if we think that you're trying, we can see that you're really trying, and when you include us in and we feel a part of it, there's going to be a little bit more sympathy when things don't go right, or at least, hey, I understand why they did that, or I bought in as well, right? And so we can almost take a little bit of
that's right
personal, I kind of would have done the same thing. But if we always feel that there's a tension in between the two sides or a disconnect, and, well, we're not really being included and we really don't see the why, then we're really going to edge up our opinions. And when it fails, that's when we point the finger.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right, because we might in our own little world be like, oh yeah, I was guilty of that too.
Right.
Like, okay, are you going to be guilty of? This is my question as we get things going really deeper into what the Jags are doing. Before we hit a timeout, we'll go late. I don't care. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Brent and Austen show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Before we really deep dive into the Cooper Hodges release, another addition for the Jags as well. Just talk about age. We did this a little bit yesterday, but why are the Jags getting older? Like, why is this regime so keen on them getting older right now? That is it's a fascinating thing. Am I the only one that's thinking that way? Is that this is a guy they bring in from Arizona who's been in the league for 7 years? He certainly isn't like a $20 million a year kind of guy. It's what I call those B-level kind of free agents that fill some gaps and holes, but gets older. Agba's in that. We just saw DeJuan Smoot do the same thing. They have Armstead. They have Murray. I mean, we are talking about a football team that has plenty of youth around it. But in my opinion, since these guys took over, their age has gone up, even to the point of Jason Hamby, Jack Kaiser, 24 years old, being their draft pick in the fourth round. So they're not going after. I don't think they're looking at the age. I don't think this is a calculated deal. But it's hard not to notice it, is my point. I mean, if they were 25.2 years old on average back in February, I got to believe they're now 26.2 in terms of their overall age. Like, it has had to bump up a full year based on some of the signings, or it's just in my head that it feels that way.
Well, at least on the defensive front, it seemed like it's Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead, and a bunch of rookies. That's how it felt to me last year, because we're Yasir Abdullah and Tyler Lacey, and all these guys are so young, and that doesn't include Devon Hamilton, of course, but you got Miles Coles getting some run out there. It's like none of these guys have any experience behind the top 3 or 4. So we might as well get some guys that have had sacks before. They know what it takes to get to the passer in the NFL. But now I think our defense is slightly older. Again, we talked about the secondary yesterday with Eric Murray. He's 31. Jordan Lewis is 29, right? And now you surround those with Tyson Campbell's. Now he's 25. He's not the 23-year-old that he was. Your defense, of course, with Eric Armstead, who's been in the league for more than 10 years, is old. But your offense is still really young, right? Everybody on the offense that you actually depend on, they're on their first contract. They might not be rookies, but pretty much every one of them right? Trevor Lawrence, still technically first contract. ETN, first contract. Tank Bigsby, first contract. BTJ, Travis Hunter, obviously. Anton Harrison, right? Your center, Hainsey, still on his first contract, technically. So every piece that you rely on, especially skill position, is a young player. So I don't know if that really matters, how much they look at that, but it is noticeable.
Yeah, it's
Brenton Strange.
That's an interesting one. Again, my perception is, like, you're not wrong. That's a pretty good note there on their offense. Pretty young. But my perception is, one, it could be younger, and two, it's not as young as their age indicates. Because Trevor's been in the league 4 years. So has ETN. I mean, Brenton Strange going on year 3 even as a young player.
Right.
Hainsey at 20, they could have easily in the second or third round, well, they never had a second-round pick, but third round got a center that would be a young center. He's going into his prime, you would say. McCarry's been around the block, even though he's not old. Anton Harrison's one of their younger players going into year number 3. He's played actually a lot of football so far. Brian Thomas Jr. is a young player, no doubt. De'Ami Brown's not young anymore. I mean, even though he's kind of young. So, like, the experience on that offensive line is way more than, on that offense in general, is way more than the age, I think, would indicate. So even that feels like they're older, but they don't feel old. To your point, like, they don't have a guy. How old's Ezra Cleveland? Ezra Cleveland might be their oldest player on offense.
He's 27.
27?
Yep. So they have, Chuma Adoga is 28. Fred Johnson is 28.
Yeah,
Those are both backup
starter.
linemen. Yeah. And then obviously your backup quarterbacks are older. But, yeah, other than that, he is your oldest.
How about McCarry?
McCarry's 27.
Because Hainsey's 27. What's McCarry? 27. So your oldest player on offense is 27, which is, that feels like, I feel like they actually got a bunch of guys in their prime right now. Like, I would say, I don't know where Walker Little fits in the prime conversation, but Ezra Cleveland does, McCarry does, Hainsey does. Trevor, I don't know if you're in your prime yet at a quarterback at 25, but obviously been around the block. ETN should be in his prime as a running back, right? And then the receivers aren't so much. I don't know where De'Ami Brown might be kind of entering that, but
they just signed a 29-year-old Trenton Irwin. So does he have a role, or is he just, maybe see what he's got in training camp, but he's still probably going to be a casualty?
Yeah. The defense, though, to your point, is really, I don't want to say old. I don't think it's old, but it's a lot of 30-somethings now. Like, that defense has, 4 or 5 probably guys that are, maybe even more. Probably the Foyer. I bet the defense has 6 or 7 impact players that are 29, 30 or above.
All right, you got.
I think
Jordan.
Foyer, Murray. I think you just had Armstead. You just added this guy. You just added Smoot. You added Agba. So that's 6. Who am I missing? Devon Hamilton, probably 28. Not yet. Okay. And then if you want to go, again, I don't really want to go too much into the depth chart, but like Wingard, what's Wingard now? Is he 29, 30?
Dewey is 28.
Oh, he's only 28. Okay. So who am I missing? Anybody?
No,
in the
you got
30
him all.
plus range or 29 even? Because Murray's like 29, I think.
Yeah. Oh, so, Eric Murray's 31.
That's 6. Oh, he's 31. My bad.
Jordan Lewis is 29.
Maybe what's Lewis? Okay, Lewis is 29. So I missed Lewis then. So that'd be 7 of them. So again, I'm not trying to make this a crazy thing. It might sound like I'm trying to make it a crazy thing. It's just an observation, and I'll say this again because I have brought it up multiple times. Some of this is juxtaposed to when like one of the regime rebuilds, the time they actually reset. Because the Jags haven't reset in a long time, right? When was the last time they reset? 2013. And when they did reset, so if you compare this reset versus that reset, they got rid of anybody that was over like 28 years old. And it was one of the big mistakes.
Right.
So is this a Baselli influence to say, hey, I was here for that. We can't do that. Is this a Gladstone thing that he's like, hey, we need some veteran presence? Is this a Cohen thing that says, hey, we need guys in the room that can handle stuff, that have been through some stuff, that know what it looks like? I don't know. I'm going to have to find out, though. I'm definitely going to have to find out. And we'll try to be doing that. So, hey, let's take a break. We will talk Cooper Hodges because I think it's I don't know all the ins and outs of the Cooper Hodges story. I think I have an idea about it, and I really think it's going to turn out to be an unfortunate one for Cooper Hodges at the end of the day. It's bigger than the release, in my opinion. But I'll give you my thoughts on it, and we'll see down the road if it shakes out this way or not. But Cooper Hodges has been released by the Jags. Hey, look at former owner Wayne Weaver out there. Looks visiting with Tony Baselli and James Gladstone. And great to see Wayne Weaver. I think now Wayne Weaver is 89 years old. I want to say, I don't want to age him, but I think he's 89 years old. And great to see him out at an OTA this morning. We'll have more of that tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30, as well. He's 90 years old. Awesome. What Wayne Weaver and Dolores Weaver have done for the city of Jacksonville is immense. We'll be back. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. Come on down. We'll be here until 1 o'clock. Spend some lunch with us.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back to Best Bet St. Augustine. Don't forget to check out bestbetjax.com, by the way. Poker Atlas Tour is here at St. Augustine's location, and it starts today. That's one of the reasons we're down here. So big event going on from today all the way until June 15th. You can read more about it at bestbetjax.com. And check out the other locations, too. Jacksonville Monument Road, of course, and Orange Park for all the poker action, all the table games as well. Dining and live simulcast wagering, too. And come on out to Ace's Bar and Grill. Always a great place. I think I'm trying to eat well, but I think I might be craving some French fries or something today from Ace's Bar and Grill. We'll see if I change my mind on that. The longer I wait, maybe the less I'll do that. But also have the Belmont Stakes coming up on Saturday, so you can watch a little horse racing and wager on that Saturday here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Again, Orange Park and Jacksonville locations as well. Brent Martineau here, Jason Hamby back in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network studios. We have Let's Go Fishing coming up at 11:30. Paul Dozier will join us as we get closer and closer to the old school Kingfish Shootout. You can still register for that. Get your boat ready, get your fishing ready, and go win a $125,000 grand prize. That sounds good. OldschoolKingfishShootout.com if you want to get the friends and family ready to go for that. Let's talk a little Jaguars football right now and continue down that road. And the Jaguars are out at OTAs. It will wrap up in about 15, 20 minutes. Liam Cohen threw out the first pitch last night. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp threw a good strike in there as well. No surprise. He's still got plenty of juice left in that arm, not coming off like 50 surgeries as far as I know. So he's got the arm still works pretty well, though. Travis Hunter in the hallway, and that worked out well. And here's Liam last night. He just stepped up there and was like, all right, let's go. Boom. Right down the middle, man. That was beautiful. And as we let this play, I was about to go live on TV. So like the crazy thing about this, we're live on Fox 30, and as he threw that, we're like 30 seconds away from coming back. So we just missed it, getting it live on TV. And then I'm ready to go, and he's like, hey, what's up, Brent? That was right down the pipe. And I was like, okay, now I'm starting to talk. I think it was so weird. I should have just went down, chased him down, and had him on real quick. That was a faux pas by me, just to get a little instant reaction from Coach. But back out there today on the football field, and I'm sure he'll be asked about that first pitch today at the podium. Brian Thomas Jr. takes to the podium as well. And the one guy that won't be out there, Cooper Hodges. He has been released. So let's talk a little bit about Cooper, and probably not a lot of time. I think Cooper Hodges is an interesting story. 7th-round pick out of App State, but the story here locally is from Baker County. And if you saw the way guys like Brandon Sheriff and others, I think Mitch Morse, too, even in year 2, even was with him earlier on, the way they talked about Cooper Hodges, I really felt like Cooper Hodges was about to be a great find for the Jaguars in that 7th round out of App State. I think without injury, they had planned like, hey, this might be a pretty good option at right guard to replace Brandon Sheriff. Now, I don't know if they were right on that. The Jags weren't right in all their different decision-making. But I'm just telling you, there was a lot of confidence and a lot of things to like about the Baker County product. Well, then he got hurt in a preseason game, and then he got hurt again in and the last leg injury was really devastating last year. Like it was a big one, and I had heard there were some concerns of whether he would be able to play football or not. I heard he was there was trouble with that injury, but to what extent was hard to exactly know. And I still don't really know, if we're being honest. I tried to do an interview with him a couple of months ago, and it got kind of pushed back a little bit. So never really got a full update on Cooper Hodges recently. So I don't know where his career is at, I guess is what I'm saying. I feel like this is an injury that could cost him his career, or at least cost him what he could have been in his NFL career. And for that, that's really unfortunate. That's bad luck. And really sucks, quite frankly, because I think this had a chance to be a nice story in Jacksonville of a guy that would have been a nice find. And we talk about those kind of finds that the Jags have been not great at, and they just really haven't been. Finding the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round guy that's going to make a big impact for you. Well, this could have been that kind of player. So I'm not telling you the Jags are doomed because they had to release Cooper Hodges. All right, I'm not trying to sell that. I'm just saying I think it's unfortunate for him that he could have really had a nice NFL career in that interior line position, and I don't know. I don't know where that's going, Hamby. Like, I think we might look back at this and be like, those injuries just were too much, especially that second one. And by the way, the first one, that didn't look good either. Like, he had 2 ugly-looking injuries in a Jags uniform, and just sometimes, man, you get bad luck, get dealt a bad hand, and it seems like it could go down like that for Cooper Hodges.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounded like Cooper Hodges could have been the replacement to Brandon Sheriff. Like, without the injuries, we were kind of semi-penciling him in, hoping that he would project to be the starting right guard of the future, a very cheap replacement for Brandon Sheriff this year. You know, if you would have asked at points last year before the second injury, it was like, yeah, Sheriff's got one more year. Then it's Cooper Hodges' turn. And not only would have that just been nice, I mean, how many starters do the Jaguars have that would have been a 7th-round pick that they made? Like, that would have been the only one. Off the top of my head, if Cooper Hodges could have been that would have been one of the best picks that we've had in recent history. A 7th-round lineman turns into your starting right guard. I mean, obviously it is very contingent and dependent on if he plays well as a starter, but just for him to be a starter, period, would have been, man, 7th-round pick. When's the last time that happened around here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there's some significance to that. And, of course, we like the local guys, right, the product of Baker County. I think that would have been a really cool deal. I just want to – like, a lot of times when you get a 7th-round pick, right, and you're like, take Keelan Robinson yesterday when they cut Keelan Robinson. I can make the case. I'm like, okay, did you cut him a little bit early? That's not your guy, but did you cut him a little early? And I did make that case yesterday. I also am not sitting here telling you that Keelan Robinson was going to be awesome, and I can't believe they cut. But we do have some history in the 3rd round. Okay, did that with Quincy Williams, so you get a little bit, worried about, okay, what if they are wrong about it? I think the difference between, like, Keelan Robinson for me and Cooper Hodges is, like, I really know they liked him. And, again, that's the old regime. But they liked Cooper Hodges a lot. And the guys liked Cooper Hodges a lot. And there was a lot of confidence, I think, that he was going to really grow into something in the NFL and be that guy. Was that actually going to be the case? I have no idea. There's confidence in a lot of players. So I think that's why this one hits a little bit different, because I just knew that was there. I knew that sense was there. I knew people were talking about him like that. And then the back-to-back injuries, man, specifically this last one, just a killer. And it might be a career killer for him. I don't know. I hope he jumps on with another team, gets healthy enough to give it another shot and all that stuff. But obviously it's not going to work out here in Jacksonville. So that one really sucks. Guys in the chat are bringing up the flip of the roster as well. So we talked a little bit about the age. You talked about this new move. And, Gardeck comes in as well from Arizona. 96 career games, going to play some special teams for you, too. He's a linebacker by trade, but it looks like they'll probably move him on the edge. It shows a little bit more of that edge depth. They're going to get more and more and more. He's got 17 career sacks. He's had some production. It's not overwhelming production, but there are a lot of people that like this guy. Who did I see? Ryan Davis, former Jaguar player. He really pumped him up yesterday on social media after he heard about the news. So we'll see. I'm not going to sit here and say, whoa, what a signing. I have no idea. But that was part of that corresponding move with Cooper Hodges. The other domino effect of all this conversation when you continue to make these moves is just the replacement of the roster. And it's a frequent thing that happens. When a new regime comes in, you replace the roster. It's actually a thing that happens a lot in business. Things get replaced, usually at the higher levels, more management positions. You can't replace everybody type of thing. But I find it fascinating because I guess I just don't fully understand why it happens all the time. Let's take the draft for a second. if you take the draft and you have 100 players in the draft and you said, okay, rank your top 100 players, and you said that to James Gladstone, you said it to Trent Baalke, you said it to the Baltimore Ravens, and who's that, DaCosta up there, and you say it to Les Snead, and you say it to, well, let's not include Snead because he comes from that same tree. So, I don't know. You pick your favorite GM. Holmes up in Detroit, okay? You take 4 or 5 of these guys, and I'm going to include like Baalke in this, and you take 100 guys looking into a draft, and I was like, how different are the 100 guys? How different are the 100 guys that get ranked? I mean, the league has 50-something guys on each roster times 32. What's that, 1,500 players in the league? There's about another 500 that kind of rifle through here and there that kind of bounce around to teams. Talking about a 2,000-player list. Yet, the amount of turnover that you get in like the first usually 18 months of a regime is massive. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think the idea of ranking players 1 to 100 or 1 to 2,000 probably isn't going to be that different if you just ask GMs to do it from the outside looking in, not for their teams. Yet when somebody gets in, it's like, boom, you got to flip it all around. Now, there are different things people look for. Scheme fit, right? Personality fit, character fit, locker room fit. I get that. I get it. But we're already seeing a huge roster replacement from the Baalke days. And so how much of this gets done just because I want my own fingerprints on it? And how much gets done because the roster was bad versus the fit is bad versus the roster now looks better and the fit is better? I don't know. But I just find it fascinating how quick this always seems to happen. And it feels a little bit almost formulaic, like you have to change the roster if you're a new regime. And I'm not sure that is the case. Like, I don't know if they have to take the whole roster and just shake it up into, something totally different. I don't. But it happens all the time. I feel like it happens in football more than it happens in, like, baseball and basketball. Like,
Definitely.
If a new regime comes in the NBA or a new regime comes in Major League Baseball, I don't think they just, like, say, okay, get out of here and come back in. Why does it happen in the NFL so much?
Well, because, first of all, there's so many different players, and it feels like it's way easier to sign and trade role players in football than it is baseball, especially. Now, that could just be me, but you have a lot longer contracts in baseball at times, right? And teams in baseball are a lot more hesitant to give up on projects because they could just send them down to the minor leagues, right? If there's an injury, they can just, depending on obviously time served, they could just send them back down. They want the control because, almost you never know. And I think the biggest thing here is so many of these players or so many people in the front office has very specific preferences that if the dollars are kind of very similar, then they would just want to get a guy that they have their own stamp on because they fit their specific preference, right? I feel like I need to go back to the roster and see what percent turnover we've had already from last year to this year. Like, I think I'm going to lock in on that. And if we got 90 guys, how many are the same?
Somebody said it. I think I saw it on social media somewhere. I think somebody put it, and I didn't do this math, but I thought somebody said it's like 70% already, which I'm not sure if that's the case. Like, I don't know it. Now, listen, here's the deal. You're automatically, let's just take a 53-man roster.
Well, but between the free agency and the draft,
there's already, like, if you take 53, let's just take the practice squad too. So you take like 65 to 70 players, and you add the draft, like especially if you drafted 9 guys and you picked up about another 6, 7, 8 guys in the early wave of free agency. Right. Well, that's 15 out of 60 or 70. That's at least 20%, but probably more like 22, 23%. That probably changes without even making a guy like let's see who the Jags like. Oh, like an Evan Ingram kind of decision or a Christian Kirk kind of decision, right? So now you make 3 or 4 of those moves. Well, now that adds you up to, like, now we're 20 out of 65. Now that we're up to Larry Bird percentage, 33%, something like that. But to get to 70% or 60% or more than 50%, that's a pretty big jump, right? I mean, let's just do it. How many guys, and most of this comes on the depth side, which I would agree with, so that makes it a little bit different. Let's just see what we got. I mean, Trevor, Etienne, Thomas, Hunter's new, Brown's new, Strange is there, Little, Clint, Hainsey, McCarry. So that's 4 new ones on the start. Mullins, Munt, Johnson, Adoga, Milam, Tootin, Irwin, Chandler Brayboy, Hunter Long, Dennis Daly. Did I miss some of these signings? Jonah Monheim, Sal Wormley, Hennigan, Allen, Pankall, Singer, Morris Jones. Shoot, I lost count. Was that like 22 of them? Was that 17 or 22? I don't know which one. I think it was 22. And then on the defensive side, it's like Allen, Hamilton, Armstead, Sane, Walker, Lucan, Lloyd, Ventrell, Miller, Jones. So Murray.
I counted 45
Jordan
new
Lewis,
players.
Just as starters. Again. Oh, you already did it. So you got 45 new players on 90. That's 50% of the 90-man.
But that might be a couple players that I just hadn't heard of that were here in the practice squad last year.
But the interesting one is if you take the starters, there's 4 on offense and 2 on defense.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting to me, right? That's a much lower percentage.
That's 33%.
Now, if you take the 2 deep, it starts getting a little bit.
Or 6 to 22, my bad.
No, 6 to 22. Yeah, that changes the percentage pretty significantly, though. That's much lower is the point than the whole roster. So, and then you add the 2 deep and you want to go 44 guys. Now it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 with Smoot, although that feels like an old one, 14, 15, 16. So that's 16 out of 44. That's even a lower percentage. So maybe it's not as eye-popping as
that's 36%.
6 out of the 22, 16 out of 44, but the whole roster has a 50% change from the 90-man. So that's pretty interesting, right? I mean, beyond the 2 deep, what are you really asking out of those guys? What are you trying to find there?
Right.
I mean, the 2 deep is really where it kind of, that's your football team for the most part. Not saying somebody can't slide in there, but we'll wait and see how that works. So maybe it feels like they're turning it over, and they're slowly turning it over. And some of this is just natural NFL attrition and turnover. But really, if you look at what Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, and that regime built out of their 2 deep, you just said it was like 36%. 16 out of the 44. It's really 43 because they have Travis Hunter listed on second-team corner, are back. And only 6 out of 22, are different. And 6 out of 22 on the first-teamers, the starters, if you will, are different. So maybe it's not as bad as we think. What's your interpretation of that? Maybe it's not as loud as it seems right now because of that big 45 out of 90 number.
Yeah, I think even if you keep the same GM, I think what we should count is moves that would not have been made if we would have kept the same GM and same head coach, right? And that's like probably your 2 tight ends, or maybe just one of them, because you would have kept Ingram. That's Smoot. That's Agba. That's Gardeck. So that's 4. There's probably only between 4 to 8 guys that are here just because we have a new GM that are actually, you're talking about that 2 deep. 4 to 8 of your 44 are guys that are only here because we have a new GM. Otherwise, you were always going to draft 9 guys. You were always going to have probably maybe at least 6 incoming free agents and some guys, some turnover that way. Do you have more free agent signings because it's Gladstone trying to find some solutions and some role players instead of your former GM, Baalke? Obviously, those are your 4 to 8 guys.
Yeah, and I think that's why kind of this exercise is pretty good. Like, I really don't think with your impact people, that again, that's the too deep you would think. Not to say nobody else can impact, but out of that, the percentages aren't crazy. I think you could probably find a lot of teams around the league that impacted their too deep with 16 changes, or with their starters with 6 changes, quite frankly. Just the way contracts work, turnover works, maybe a new OC, DC. You didn't even need a regime change. So what they're doing is beefing up the back end of that roster and building that roster. And I'm getting a lot of like, hey, Brent, they were 4-13. It was a crappy roster. Well, here's your answer to that then. I believe the roster, and I think this regime feels like that roster was overrated based on the way it was presented. I think that's pretty crystal clear. I think we can all agree on that. They won 4 games last year, right? It was an overrated roster the way it was presented. But that being said, whether it's contractually obligated, which we did wonder about right away, are you going to eat dead money, which they did. They've eaten a lot of dead money so far if they were going to make changes. That they overall haven't really just like flipped the roster on the impact side of things with the starters and the too deep. They really have not changed the way this football team looks when it runs out there in September, as much as it might even appear. And maybe as much as the league itself often does. It might be more on par with that, is the point. So it's kind of fascinating. It does feel like they're ripping up the backside of the roster. And that isn't too surprising. But they're really not ripping up the front end as much as we thought. And keep in mind, like Mitch Morse retired. Brandon Sheriff, has he even caught on with the team yet? I think he might be on the verge of retirement. So 2 of those guys gone. But other than that, they've really made minimal moves to the impact of their football team and especially that opening 22. Now, what you hope is when you make some of those moves on that backup, that next 22 offense defense, that some of those draft picks and everybody else that you invested in really turn into guys that could replace that others that were here before. But the bottom line is the roster was overrated. But the other bottom line is they were still very obligated to the roster. So there's only so many moves they can make. I mean, the real story is inside the walls. What are they saying about guys that actually are getting paid and how much they believe in them, that they're kind of stuck with? Because there's a little bit of that. Like they're kind of stuck. We had this Travis Etienne conversation. Are they stuck with Travis Etienne? Do they look at it like they're stuck with Travis Etienne? Would they really like to move on from Etienne? Well, you can make the case that they were trying, or at least trying to upgrade. So it's pretty interesting as you look at this roster construction, and one that will continue to morph. I don't know how many, like you take the Buffalo Bills, right? It feels like their roster has really changed over the last few years, even during this run. You take the Kansas City Chiefs, and I feel like the roster changes with the same people in place, is my point. So it's the nature of the NFL in general. As I and again, I'll admit, I started this conversation like, are we changing? Did things happen where they change it just for change's sake? It's like, well, a lot of the parameters in the NFL kind of force you into those changes to begin with.
Right.
Because of, obviously, draft picks, free agency, cap space, age, and the rest. I can't, my eyes aren't good right here, but I disagree, Brent. The offense has been overhauled, in my opinion. I don't think they keep 4 running backs, 3 new starting wide receivers, 3 new tight ends, O-line backups. They have 4 new players. They have Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, and the 2 linemen.
And Tootin.
Now, to your point, the roles could change. Well, listen, I don't know what Tootin's going to play. I mean, he's a third back right now. Like, he's your third guy in terms of, I don't know where he's going to fit. So I guess I won't disagree with that outlook, because I will say this, Brenton Strange we know is going to have an increased role, right? We already know that. So now the offense, that goes to a 5th player. And then if Tootin does get, an increased role, a bigger role than Bigsby or Etienne, well, now that's a 6th player. So now that's more than a 50% overhaul of at least how you're using your offense. So that's a fair point, right? I mean, that the role certainly can change. Even if you take a guy like, what's Dewey Wingard's role going to be? Well, he's been here. He might be a part of it, but the role might be different based on this defense and everything else. So anyway, fascinating to watch these guys and how they carve it out and what it looks like not just in the fall, but what it looks like 2 years and 3 years down the road as well. Let's take a break. Brent and Austin Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. We want to try to take a break at least. We're live at Best Bet St. Augustine. We go fishing in a little bit. We've got some sound from Liam Cohen, and we've got some sound coming in a little bit later on from Brian Thomas Jr. We'll hear from Travis Hunter on Brian Thomas Jr. There's the newest Jacksonville Jaguar as well, and we'll see what kind of pass rush the Jaguars now have with signing the Smoots and the Ogbas, and they are certainly looking for some pieces to the puzzle to add to that sack total. There's no doubt about that in Jacksonville. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
The schedules are out for another summer of soccer here in Jacksonville with the Armada men's and women's under-23 squads, starting with the ladies and the home opener on May 24th. 2 weeks later, they're back in Northeast Florida for a June 7th matchup. The season wraps up with a pair of Friday night home matches June 20th and the 27th. As for the boys in blue, they debut against a couple league newcomers on May 9th and 17th respectively, with more home dates on May 31st, June 14th, and June 21st. All those matches are at Edward Waters University, and you can watch them live on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
It's fast-paced,
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
high-fly,
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
action-packed, weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks. I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's gotta be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent. This the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the Drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com. Hey, Beyond the Smile with Travis Hunter, part of our conversation this week. It's Travis Hunter Week on Action Sports Shacks, CBS 47, Fox 30, ActionSportsShacks.com. Also right here on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. We have more to come tonight. And tomorrow here on the show, probably play the interview in its entirety. Saturday, Sunday, we'll have some more things too. So we'll carry this through over the next couple of days. It's been kind of fun to do different angles of this interview throughout the week, whether it's on Action News Jacks or in our sportscast as well. And right here, we've talked a lot of Travis Hunter, appropriately so. Everybody else is doing it, and especially coming off that big catch the other day. He's talking Brian Thomas Jr., and why not go there right now? If we have that, Hamby, we'll get that ready to roll. But Brian Thomas Jr. is going to talk to the media. He might be doing it right now, already has. Liam Cohen also talking. We'll hear from those guys in just a bit before the end of the show as we welcome you back live to Best Bet St. Augustine. Good to be back down here. It's been a little bit. We've got Belmont Stakes on all the big screens coming up on Saturday. We've got the Poker Atlas Tour that is here from June 5th, which starts today. Today is June 5th, all the way through the 15th right here at St. Augustine, and you can win a jet ski that's over there. That thing looks pretty darn good. So come down here and play. Put your name in. You play. There are some rules and regulations, but you can get right into the drawing, which will take place on August 9th, and you could finish the end part of the summer with a new toy, if you will. Just for playing down here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Travis Hunter Week, let's hear from him about Brian Thomas Jr. This was kind of a fun exchange. It's not a very long exchange, but a couple of questions with Travis about Brian Thomas Jr. And this is really the fun of what we have here in Jacksonville, right? Like you think about things that have been fun to think about, dream about, hope about, all those things. And it happens, right? The offseason is that. You can go all the way back to Minshew. I mean, not all the way. I'm not going to go all the way back. But you go to Minshew, and that was a fun what if. You go to Trevor, obviously, and it's a fun what if. You go to, I think in 22 would have been Kirk, Ingram, Marvin Jones. No, Kirk, Ingram, Zay Jones. Was Marvin Jones part of 22? I think he was, yeah. But those guys all have career years. Zay Jones, Ingram, and Kirk. And then what did the Jags do? Was it last year? 2 years ago? Yeah, I'm trying to remember this. They bring in Calvin Ridley. And that was like, oh, wow. With Kirk, with Ingram. And obviously by that time, I mean, Zay Jones sooner or later would go to Arizona. This is one of those things that's even probably beyond that, but I think we've got a bit of buyer beware and scar tissue to say, wait a minute now. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter. How is that going to look? And I think the league thinks that's going to look good. I think the league was taking notice a little bit with Kirk and Ingram and Calvin Ridley and say, oh, that could be pretty interesting. League took notice with Trevor Lawrence. How's he going to change the Jags? Absolutely. The Minshew thing was more of a fun, probably mixed bag of reaction around the league. The league is taking notice. Defensive coordinators are taking notice. The AFC South is taking notice of this because you have two, what I use the word is electric. And Brian Thomas Jr. proved that last year. Travis Hunter has proved that throughout his football playing days, and many people think he will prove it this year as well. So if you just take that and forget about everything else on offense, all the things we just changed about some of the change that's been made with this new regime, what the offense looks like, Cohen, just look at those two pieces alone, and you feel like, hey, I could call some plays for that to make it work and look good, because those guys are talented. Here's Travis Hunter in our sit-down on Brian Thomas Jr. You seem like a very different personality than Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, not too much. I am goofy. I got a lot of energy, but he talked.
Well, it took a few months last year to get some stuff out of him, even from players. You getting something out of him?
Yeah, he talks to me. He talks to me.
What are your impressions of him as a player?
It's gonna be crazy. It's a lot more that we got to explore, but he's gonna be great.
You've seen good players. You know what good looks like. You're one yourself. What jumps out when you watch him play?
His work ethic. He's going to go at it 100. And, he's going to do exactly what coach wants, but he also going to make sure he make the play every time the ball comes to him.
A couple of things in there. I think that's, again, I'm not sure anything revealing or eye-popping. I'm more struck by the smiling and the laugh at, hey, he already knows his personality and his personality's different. And, of course, there's some goofy stuff going on, like what I don't pay much attention to that social media stuff where they're saying, there's already people are fed up with Travis Hunter dancing and the personality. There's nobody in the building fed up with that. I don't even feel like I've never heard a fan say that yet. So I don't know where that came from. I think it's really cool that they have two different personalities. And by the way, like Brian Thomas Jr., he's got a unique personality to begin with. For that position, like that is unique to be as quiet of a guy as he is.
Right.
Right. Then he doesn't say a whole lot. He just goes to work and does it. And so in the 42 seconds of that conversation right there, and that's what it was 42 seconds. The smile got me. Hey, at least he talks to me. He already talks to me, right? So they have conversation. I think that last year's team loosened Brian up a little bit. They got him going. But remember, it was a bit of a joke last year, like, hey, yeah, he doesn't say much to us either at the outset. And then he started to say more. I thought he was good in the media. Like we've had him on. We had him on the draft special. I think he does a good job with it. I think all this quietness about BTJ, I get it. It's more his persona, but it's not like he says he's fine with it. Like I thought he was fine last year. I thought he actually got pretty good at it at times. You got to work at it sometimes with him to get an uber reaction. And it's not super energetic, but man, does he play energetic. He plays electric. And that's what was interesting to watch. You take that persona and personality, which seems very kind of subdued and quiet and calm, and then you get the play, the loud play. Was pretty fascinating watch, Hamby, and I think that's what got everybody's attention. Like, we think the play is going to be loud with Hunter, but so is his personality, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get a ton out of Brian Thomas Jr., and then week one, he's jawing with Jalen Ramsey, and we're like, holy cow, like, what just happened? And come to find out, off the field, in practice, in meetings, pretty subdued. But when he's out on the field, I mean, he's told us he'll go back and forth with a corner. He'll go back and forth with a safety. And I remember watching that. I don't know if it was the first quarter or not. The first deep ball, or maybe his first catch on Jalen in week one of last year, and him kind of getting up and talking to him. I was like, I mean, dude, if you go toe to toe with Jalen, of all people we know, is like king trash talker, then this is not a new thing. This is what he does. This is habit for him. He just flips the switch when he gets onto the field. So I think it'll be fun. I think it is something to where, look, Travis Hunter could probably bring an energy out of me that I don't really show day to day. I mean, he's just that kind of guy where he could pull, it's contagious, right? And that's part of the reason why the Jags liked him so much. Obviously, 95% of it is what he does on the football field, but that contributes. It's the personality. It's what he pulls out of other people, the contagious energy where, hey, look, maybe he's already pulling that out of Brian Thomas Jr. He's like, hey, BTJ, you might be able to be quiet with some of the others, but you're not going to be, not with me, not when I step up. And, I'm sure they already have a 30-second handshake or two that they've been working on or something like that. That's just what Travis Hunter's going to bring.
Yeah, he's got they have the dog in them, if you will, because everybody knows what that kind of means. But they do it differently. It comes out a little bit differently, and I love it. I'm fascinated by that dynamic. I love the psychology of stuff, and I think that's an interesting one. That wide receiver position, the corner position, always is fascinating. And I think it's funny that, I think the perception of Hunter will be he is kind of that diva. He's not, though. He's just not. Whereas the other one's man, this dude's so quiet, and he's actually got more than anybody thinks, especially when the ball gets thrown in the air. So the other part of the Travis Hunter stuff for me that stuck out, he says it's crazy. I was asked what it's going to be like. He doesn't say a lot. It's it's crazy. But I thought the second part of that response was was interesting. He said there's so much more than people think out there in our offense that's going to accentuate. This is my interpretation of what he said. It's going to accentuate what we do. There's just so much more. So I think that part is really neat because that opens your eyes to a lot of different thoughts, and we'll see what that looks like. The last part of it for Hunter was when I asked him about Brian Thomas Jr., what impresses him, and he just went right to the work ethic. But he said something late in that soundbite where it's when the play needs to be made, he's going to make the play. That's already his impression of it, and I think that's the impression we have too. Overall, when a play needed to be made, he was the guy that went and got it. He was a playmaker for the Jags last year. There weren't many of them. There haven't been many of them over time. He's a playmaker. Get him the football. And we think Travis Hunter is going to be that way too. So now you have two potential big-time playmakers on the outside for Trevor Lawrence. So there's just a couple of comments in there that I thought spoke maybe even a little bit louder or gives you a little bit more of a tease of the depth of this relationship that could be here for a very long time in Jacksonville between Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. I do think the one thing you got to be a little careful about with BTJ is setting this expectation so crazy, not when it comes to performance, but when it comes to numbers. I think that's the one that's going to be fascinating because you got to share the ball somewhere. If Brian Thomas Jr. does crazy things numbers-wise, we're going to say, well, where's Travis Hunter? Right. That's a delicate balance from a perception, fantasy football world, statistic world that everybody lives in. That forms narratives, not necessarily true, but it does form narratives. Does that enter the equation, the building, all those things? Liam Cohen has an interesting job on his hand to keep players happy, to keep people happy. We've wondered about that, too, in the past when Ridley and Kirk and Ingram and everybody, ETN, they were coming off good seasons, and then you add the Ridley stuff. So we've wondered about it before, but if you're going to run the ball more than you've run the ball, that means you're going to throw it less most likely, although you could work that into getting more first downs and running more plays, and then maybe you throw it about the same amount of time. Where's the distribution? Now, a lot of those tight end catches are now going to wide receivers, I assume, in this offense because Evan Ingram's not scooping up 200 catches in a 2-year span. Right. The way the offense of Doug Peterson kind of was presenting itself. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a timeout. On the other side, we've got Brian Thomas Jr. talking about Travis Hunter still to come. We also have Liam Cohen talking about Brian Thomas Jr. as well. So we've got some things to get to. Austen Lane's going to join us. We also will have some fun football talk with Coach Sully. I think he's going to show up before the end of the show. And we're going fishing, too. Paul Dozier will join us on the program, and we'll talk a little bit of fishing as well on the Brent and Austin Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Jags off the field. We have so much Jags content coming up in the next couple of days, even the next couple of weeks, couple of months, but it continues with Travis Hunter throughout the evening and weekend with CBS 47, Fox 30, and on Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Let's go fishing. Send them in every week. Sports at ActionNewsJax.com. It's presented by Nimnick Buick GMC, Armor Guard Exteriors, and we bring it to you next.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty
clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3, don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Save 10% off any water heater plus no trip charge. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that, we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet is truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Oh, yeah, we got, oh, look at that. That's a good action shot right there on the docks. It looks like the pier, I would assume. We'll have Paul Dozier be able to confirm that in just a moment. But let's go fishing time, presented by Nimick Buick GMC and also Armor Guard exteriors, gutter helmet, as you just heard. I love doing this segment with Paul, and he's back in the studio. I'm down here at Best Bet St. Augustine, and now we're just a week or so away from the old school Kingfish Shootout, and you got to register for that one if you haven't already. We know hundreds of boats already have and are ready to go on June 14th. We'll have that for you on Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network starting at 2 o'clock on that Saturday, June 14th. Paul, what's happening? And looking forward to a good weekend of fishing. I know you already had one last week during your birthday weekend, so happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we got out there a couple days. We went Friday and went again on Sunday and caught some nice kingfish, kind of pre-fishing for the old school, so to say, you know.
Yeah, we'll go through some of those catches in just a little bit and showcase them. But how's the old school preparations going? Are you on schedule?
Preparations are good. Lauren's working hard. I'm working a little, but we're coming along. We should be we should be in good shape next week. We're just hoping and praying for good weather, and if we get that, it should be a good tournament.
What's the long-term forecast? Have you taken a peek?
Oh man, you can't. They don't know what it's going to do this Saturday, much less next Saturday. So we'll just play it by ear. Maybe this time next week we'll have a really good idea of what the weather's going to be.
Paul, has there been a tournament that was hit? My bad, Brent. Has there been a tournament that's been hit heavy with some inclement weather? And what was kind of like the adjustment that y'all were able to, if y'all were able to do anything to kind of subside it?
Yeah, well, we have a contingency plan, of course, but we've had some bad weather. No real rough seas over the years we've done this. Usually in the summer you can get lucky on the weather, but you get these afternoon thunderstorms, and we've had to pause weigh-ins. We've had severe thunderstorms, maybe even funnel clouds before coming there to affect our live stream, of course. But all in all, we've been very fortunate over the 5 years we've done this. We've never had a postponement or a cancellation. And it's a matter of time. You do this long enough, eventually the weather's going to catch you. But we have a plan, and we'll adjust if it ever happens, and let's just hope it doesn't happen this year.
Yeah, we won't want to speak that one into existence. This is considered, Jacksonville's kind of like a walk-up town. Like if you go to games, whether it's a Jags game or a Shrimp game, an Iceman game, heck, maybe even a concert or something. Does it work that way for your events that you've had now that you've had a bunch of experience with it? Is it will you get a lot more entries, even though you had a good deal going until May 31st on the early entry? Will you get some late entries, and will they come in bunches over the next week?
Once the weather becomes clear, Brent, the people will register. We'll get another big push because the day of the next Friday, the price goes from $350 to $400. We try to get people to register early because it makes it easier for everybody. It makes it easier for us, makes it easier for them when they get there. Some people will sign up at the event, which is fine, but by Thursday, you should be able to see the weather and feel confident whether it's going to be calm enough for you to fish or not. And if it is, I'd suggest go ahead and registering online and getting it done so you can just walk up and grab your boat number and listen to a short captain's meeting and get out of there.
OldSchoolKingfishShootout.com. That's the way you get more information on it, and that's the way you register as well. Paul Dozier hanging out with us for our Let's Go Fishing weekly segment, 11:30 on the Brent and Austen shows on Thursdays. Let's take a look at some pictures, Hamby, if we can, and we'll see what Paul has for us. He can help describe. I think he helped catch some of these.
That's a very
as well. There we go.
That's a very nice king mackerel caught off the Jacksonville Beach Pier. It looks like. I think that first picture you showed was them casting out what they call an anchor on the pier. So what they do is they take that young man is casting that thing as far as he can. Obviously, he's got a lot of torque on there, and that thing's going to cast out. And then they slide their line with a live bait down the anchor to get it further out away from the pier. And then I'm sure they have a release mechanism on their anchor rod, and when a fish bites it, it pops the clip or whatever they're using to release to get it out there, and then they'll just have the fish on the rod, and that anchor, if it's getting in the way of the fish, they'll reel it in, but if not, they just leave it out there and put another bait on and send it out.
Yeah, there you go. That's a cool description of that. All right, we've got look at this photo. It's a good-looking photo.
Yeah, that's another king mackerel right there.
Down the barrel.
Yeah, they're giving you those things have razor sharp teeth, and you have to be careful when you boat or handle one of these fish, particularly when they're alive. But even when they're dead, if those things get around your ankles or around you got to be careful. They can cut you. They're like razor blades. So you can see the teeth there. They're very, very, very sharp.
Wow, yeah, these some of these pictures, by the way, coming in and given to us by Tara Garrett. Tara or Tara, I'm not sure. It's 2 R's, Garrett. So, again, send them in at sports@actionnewsjacks.com. Rifle through some of these, if you will, Hamby, so we can continue to get a good look. And I think this all came from the Garretts as well before we get to the Dozier's pictures.
Oh, there you go.
So, what else? There we go. Yeah. That's the one you helped reel in, huh?
I didn't help anything. I just drove the boat. That's our son Bradley there. We need to get him some new sunglasses. Everybody tells, we love those sunglasses. I'm like, I can't stand those sunglasses, but hey, he caught him a nice king mackerel. That's last weekend. So yeah, he loves it. He loves going on the boat and doing all the things on the boat.
Hey, Paul, you don't get to decide if the sunglasses are good looking or not. Like people like the age of Hamby actually decide that. Hamby probably likes the sunglasses, and therefore Bradley's wearing the sunglasses.
Yeah, this is the exact pair that half of my travel ball kids wear, and it takes up half of their face. But hey, as long as they can hit the ball, I'm good with it.
Whatever, right? Whatever. Yeah, that's probably the nicest fish we caught. That was Sunday morning, and that fish there is in the high 20s. That's not a great picture, not the most flattering picture, but you can see. A lot of times when you catch fish on the beach, when I say on the beach, we're talking within a couple miles of the beach. They come in there to row out to spawn, and they're really, really skinny fish. And this is an exception. This fish had obviously not done her thing yet. The bigger kingfish are females. Hamby wasn't here last week. We were talking about male and female groupers and all the things, but these are the big girls. The big girls are ladies on the beach, but they're in there to spawn and hopefully make more kingfish. So we release these fish. We're not turning. We kept one for some fish dip, and we released the rest of them. Let them hopefully make more kingfish. And there's the lovely Lauren with a nice fish there.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. So how was the king fishing when you guys went out? This was all in the last, 5 or 6 days, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit slow on Friday. The wind was blowing out of the northwest, about 15 knots, and the bait was thick. There was a lot of bait, but the water got a little cloudy. And then Sunday, we caught a lot of bycatch. We caught some sharks, some big hammerhead sharks, big jacks, and we caught 5 kingfish. So the fish were really starting to bite, but the water was crystal clear. Almost felt like you were in the Keys or South Florida.
I got one more for y'all.
Please. Oh yeah.
Check this guy out.
Yeah, that guy's ready.
Oh yeah.
That's a future junior angler there, huh?
That is. That junior angler competition will be very competitive at the Old School Kingfish Shootout coming up here in just a couple of Saturdays now on June 14th. Hey, Hamby, let's get to Captain Roger. He's out near in downtown just a couple of days ago in the evening hours, so this is a little dark, but the background's fantastic right there by the bridge, and we'll see what's happening on the river as well in our weekly Let's Go Fishing segment.
Hey, this is Captain Roger Bump with your Action Sports Inshore Fishing Report. And this week we've had some cooler weather, onshore winds, which should maybe perk things up. It's been tough. We've had a lot of hot temperatures. The water got hot quick, and it kind of slowed down the bite. I really didn't see the bait that you should have in that part of May. But for whatever reason, they haven't shown up in the St. John's. There's a lot of bait in Nassau and further south, but they're still having slow conditions, tough times catching redfish, trout, flounder. flounder especially has been, this has been the hottest spring I've seen in a long time. But maybe with these onshore winds, east winds will push something in, cooler temperatures, and we'll just have to see what happens. Just fish day by day. I'm throwing a little downsizing, a little plastic right here, a little 1/8 ounce jig, anything that you might like. Just, downsize your baits, maybe go to some clear line if you see some clear water and you've been throwing braid and you got your fluorocarbon. A lot of times you think that would help, but sometimes you just got to go all straight fluorocarbon because they'll see that line. So, little tricks of the trade. Try new things, and hopefully this week maybe things will pick up and you won't have to go to extreme and just spool your line up with a full fluorocarbon. Until next week, Action Sports Inshore Report here with Captain Roger Bump right here in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, downtown.
Well, he's got that right. It was a beautiful backdrop right there on the river, and a little bit later in the evening too, Paul.
Yeah. Captain Roger's right about that. We get a little east wind, this little low pressure we've had around here throws some new water, hopefully some new life. And I think what happens in the river is when the shrimp start running in later summer, you get the shrimp run, the fishing will get better. Everything eats a shrimp. If you ever come back as anything else in your second life, you don't want to be a shrimp because we eat them. Every fish eats them. Everything eats a shrimp. Not good to be a shrimp. So.
I've never really thought about that, but don't be a shrimp in your second life is a very good lesson learned here on our Let's Go Fishing segment presented by Nimick Buick GMC and Armor Guard Exterior. We are at Best Bet St. Augustine right now. We got the big Poker Atlas Tour starting up today, and we'll go till June 15th. But on June 14th, they will have a photo booth at the pier during the Old School Kingfish Shootout. So it'll be the Best Bet St. Augustine photo booth where that's a good idea, right? While people are waiting in line to weigh in, and while that can take a little bit of time, take a picture of the fish. Everybody loves a good picture these days, and then they can just share them right there at sports@actionnewsjacks.com, and we'll put them on the show, Paul.
Yeah, Best Bet's been a good sponsor of ours and a partner of ours for years, and they're great people, and they're outdoorsmen. Several of the dealers there and several of the managers there fish our tournaments and fish our events. And, the photo booth, like you said, there can be a little bit of a line. We get this many boats fishing, and they all basically come in at the same time. So you get a little bit of a line and just something. We have a DJ on the pier, and we'll have a photo booth just to keep the line moving, keep everybody doing something so they don't get too bored and sunburned all at the same time.
All right, Paul, I can't believe we've done this segment for this long and I haven't asked yet. Okay, so our captain there's got a Bass Pro hat on. Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have a Bass Pro hat?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, so here's my thing. So Bass Pro, every fraternal Fred at every college across the nation thinks that they can wear a Bass Pro hat now. Mm-hmm. The TikTokers, I'm showing my age here, that all the TikTokers wear Bass Pro hats. They've never fished in their life, so has it been tainted for the actual fisherman? Is Captain here doing himself a disservice, actually knocking down his clout a little bit by wearing one and by assimilation with all these frat stars, or is he still good in your book?
No, Captain Roger's still good in my book. I'm a little picky. I like to wear Wahoo Shootout and Old School Shootout hats, but if I were going to wear a bigger brand, I would wear a Strike Zone Fishing hat, a local company versus a corporate outfit. Support local, right?
Okay, but is it good for the game in a sense to see all of these hats?
Oh,
or is it like, all right, dude, come fishing with me at least once before you can rock that hat at all of your parties or going out or everything?
Well, I'm no charter captain, but you can always tell when the charter gets to the dock because the clientele is wearing a Guy Harvey shirt or a Salt Life shirt and a Bass Pro hat. That's their uniform that's the Midwesterners, Northerners charter uniform for the charter boats. So, but a lot of the country music stars wear the Bass Pro Shop stuff. I mean, hey, I've been in the Bass Pro Shops down at International Golf Parkway. It's a nice store. They have great clothing, a lot of clothes, and you can see why people buy their hats because they're everywhere. You walk in there, and it's like, I mean, if you want one, you're going to be able to find it.
Yeah, we're going Wahoo Shootout and sticking with the old school Kingfish Shootout as well, and maybe a little strike zone fishing. We start giving those out here on the show, maybe in the segment. But you got a good clothing line yourself there, Paul. That's good stuff that you guys come up with. All right, man, thanks for hanging out with us on the Let's Go Fishing here on another Thursday. We'll do it again next week. I'll be actually out of town, so these guys will do it on the verge of the old school Kingfish Shootout on June 14th. OldSchoolKingfishShootout.com. Still time to get in, but people are running out of time. Only a week left.
OldSchoolKingfish.com. Don't put shootout. You'll go somewhere else. But, yeah, we'll know the weather next week, so we look forward to it.
Oh, yeah, please. Let me say that again 50 times. OldSchoolKingfish.com. I knew I should have called it up in front of me, but it is called the Old School Kingfish Shootout. OldSchoolKingfish.com. And send it to sports@actionnewsshacks.com if you've got any fishing, any catches this week. And, of course, we'll have a ton of them after the June 14th tournament. Once again, the tournament will air right here at Action Sports Shacks 24/7 Network. We'll have it from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon all the way through the weigh-ins around 5:30 or so, and maybe even take you up until about 6 o'clock next Saturday here on the network. Let's take a break. We come back. We talk a little bit more football. Liam Cohen sound, Brian Thomas Jr. sound, and also what's happening here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Still on the way.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter, First Coast, a call at 904-417-3557. Or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter, First Coast, on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Shacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Oh. Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
It's fast-paced.
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
High fly.
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
Action-packed. Weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks. I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's gotta be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent. This is the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com.
Are you about to graduate high school and haven't decided on what you want to do when you get done? Well, one option is to apply to become a student in the Electrical Training Alliance of Jacksonville. Their program offers structured classroom and online training along with on-the-job training so that you can earn while you learn. Still not convinced? The folks at ETA Jacks are a tuition-free 4-year apprenticeship program. There is no tuition and no student debt. Just pay for your books and your fees. That's it. Now, speaking of pay, students, they start off making $40,000 per year, including benefits, and they graduate, get this, making over $80,000 per year, including those sought-after benefits. Now, that sounds pretty good to me, and if that sounds good to you, it should check off a lot of boxes. So head on over to etajacks.org and apply by May 15th. Again, the website right here, etajacks.org. Don't wait, apply today.
Grab some friends and go to a restaurant or head out for a drink and some conversation. Watch your favorite team play on the big screen. Or how about play some games? You can do all of that in one night at Best Bet. Each location has a different vibe, its own personality, like here at the original Best Bet in Orange Park. When you walk through these doors, everybody knows your name. And here in St. Augustine, it's the newest location. Play some poker. How about the table games? And don't forget about Ace's Sports Bar and Grill. And then there's the Jacksonville location, right here on Monument Road. It's the biggest poker room in the state of Florida. Maybe you'll find yourself a seat right here at the final table. Best Bet, where you can have the best of times. And that makes you always go home a winner. Try any of the 3 locations, and you can always visit bestbetjacks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back to Best Bet St. Augustine. How about a little summer splash? Look at that, $40,000 in cash and prizes. Here's the deal, May 22nd to August 8th. Get down here to Best Bet St. Augustine. You play, you can enter to win just by playing. Same deal last year with the golf cart, remember? Well, this is a good-looking jet ski there. And $40,000 worth of prizes. I was just talking to Jesse Hollander about how this all works, and it's a 2-month process. Well, May, June. Actually, a little bit over 2 months into August.
Longer, yep.
And on August 9th, somebody's going to be pretty happy by winning that thing. That's a good-looking jet ski. You know, jet ski's one of those things, Ski-Doo, I don't know what they call them now. I don't even know what the brand was there. Wave Runner, is that what they are? So it's one of those things that's like, man, I really want one of those. And then you're like, okay, how much am I really going to use? Like, I asked that. Right. So, hey, if you win it, you don't have to ask that question anymore.
That's right. If you win it, you'll know how much you use it, right?
Yeah, and you didn't have to make that kind of investment. So these are pretty popular. We did it last year with a golf cart. Before that, it was a motorcycle.
Yeah,
right?
We did a Harley 2 years ago. We did a golf cart last year. This year, it's the Wave Runner, and it's a lot of fun. You know, the players like it. They earn a virtual drawing ticket for every hour they play. It's good for the table game side or the poker side. And, on the 9th, we're going to do drawings for all day long for $1,000 in cash. We'll have high hands going that day. We'll have lucky seat drawings that day. And then in the evening, we draw for the jet ski.
My goodness. I always follow along, and we share out and retweet and tell people about what's going on at Best Bet. And there's always I don't know who the heck comes up with all the promotional schedule and things, but and even us, you've been a part of our Dream 18 golf tournament in the past, and when you do the events and things, you try to provide value, and it's just amazing. Like, you got some folks in here that are just going to come play anyway, and then the value added, right, just to be able to, hey, you're playing, you get another opportunity to win. I mean, it's like you like seeing people win.
Yeah, it's fun. That's the best part of being here is watch people win.
Yeah,
you know?
Get excitement, get some juice in the room.
Right, that's right, get some juice.
Well, you got the Poker Atlas Tour started today, and you've been telling me that around Orange Park, Monument Road, Jacksonville, and now here with Poker Atlas Tour coming to St. Augustine from now until June 15th, that the tournaments, the poker tournaments have really been performing well.
They've been doing really well. You know, we just had we did our Stars and Stripes tournament at Orange Park a couple weeks ago. And we had over 850 entries.
Wow.
In a weekend $200 buy-in tournament at Orange Park. And so that was a great time. And we're looking for another big field here. This is our event number 1 of the Poker Atlas Tour. which starts right now.
Right now, here we go.
Day 1A.
Noon. Hell, we've hit the noon hour.
We hit the noon hour. Nailed it. It's just a $300 buy-in, and they'll be, last year I think we got over 900 players in this tournament.
That's awesome.
So you can play today or tomorrow or Saturday at noon or 7 o'clock, and everybody who makes it through their day one flight comes back Sunday.
Yeah, that's, we just experienced this a little bit with the Run Good when we were up there, right? And we had the final table actually right on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. That turned out really well. That was fun. But this is all a build-up to get to, the grand prize at the end of the day, right, on that around June 13, 14,
Sure,
15.
so the main event is the main event next weekend is a $600 buy-in, and it's make sure I get it right here, $200,000 guaranteed.
There you go.
Prize pool. And all week long we have tournaments. We have a progressive knockout bounty tournament on Sunday, a double board bomb pot tournament, which is a lot of fun, a super stack tournament. We even have a seniors 50 and over next Sunday.
Wow. Cool.
So that's something new for us to have a seniors in this series. But there's a little something for everybody, and it's a good price point, this series, because it's all $200 and $300 buy-ins, and the main event's just $600.
Hey, Belmont Stakes is Saturday as well, so the final leg of the Triple Crown.
That's right.
It's going to be hopping on the weekend.
It's going to be hopping. We also have all our high hands, our $500 and $1,000 high hands throughout the weekend on Friday and Saturday. So, like you said, there's always something happening.
Yeah, I was just seeing some nice little lunch and dinner specials here at Ace's Bar and Grill. If you haven't been down to Best Bet St. Augustine, you got to make your way right off exit 311. Easy to get to, and good stuff. Plus, a lot of stuff going on around here, right around your place. You were one of the first ones in, and now there's a lot of things happening.
Yeah, we finally got some neighbors.
Yeah,
Beaver Toyota's opening up. We got the Hyundai dealership, and it's getting popular down here.
It really is. It's a good spot to be. Speaking of the summer and that wave runner and the ability to win that, do you see ebbs and flows in the summer months? Because obviously people go on vacations and things, or does that impact you guys here in Florida as much? Or
not a lot. In Jacksonville and Orange Park, it's pretty steady. We're a little bit downtick in the summer slightly, and then a little bit uptick in the fall. Slight downtick right when football starts, and then back up through the winter.
Yeah.
In St. Augustine, it's a little bit different because we get all the snowbirds.
Oh, yeah.
So the winter, there is a little bit more of a flow in St. Augustine specific. We're a little bit slower in the summer and a little bit busier through the fall and winter because the snowbirds coming down for the winter.
That makes some sense.
Yeah.
That makes some sense. Jesse Hollander, Best Bet, all the different locations. Go check them out. Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine. That's where we're at today. Love being down here. Poker Atlas Tour getting going. Win a wave runner. All different things. Or just go join us at the table games, too. And you can watch the Belmont. You can eat at Ace's Bar and Grill. There's a lot of good things happening here for everyone. I know we got some folks coming over in just a little bit, probably to grab some lunch. I got to get some French fries before I go today. I was going to watch it on the diet, but I think I'm going to get sucked into it anyway.
Yeah, you got to get a Nashville hot chicken sandwich and some French fries.
Let's go. It sounds like lunch today here at Ace's Bar and Grill. Appreciate it, man.
All right,
good
man.
luck. Great to have you in, as always.
See you later.
And, we just go from guest to guest. We bring in Austen Lane now, who's down in South Florida. He just jumped in with us, and he just got done working out. And I'm talking about eating Nashville hot chicken and French fries. So there's a difference between us. We did talk about your calories yesterday. We don't want to guess my calories in a given day.
I wouldn't mind a Nashville hot chicken sandwich right now after a nice sparring session for sure.
Delphonic. Looking forward to see Brent compete in the seniors tournament. Listen, it's getting pretty close. I should ask the age. I don't know if it's the Poker Atlas seniors tournament at 50, 55. I don't know if it's better in this kind of format, like the experienced poker player, the wisdom of the poker player is better to take on later or go after the young kids that you might be able to school a little bit. I'm not sure what the better fit is.
Listen, I feel like if you're rocking Hey Dudes, like that's like your ticket in, man. Like, oh, Hey Dudes, senior tournament this way. And yes, I know that Travis Hunter now endorses them as well, but I still stand by that statement.
Mm-hmm. He does endorse them, so he has made them very cool. One of the things, Hamby, I'm surprised this let me forget this, but Hamby, one of these days you're going to get an entrance into an event like this. But you got to like think ahead, and we got to do it. When he thinks he's a good poker player. We got to see how good of a poker player he is, Austin. We are going to buy his entrance into one of these events like the poker.
I got to
check out more, by the way. bestbetjacks.com. Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see, like, to me, I'll pony that up. Now, it's not, what would they say, it's like $300? I'll pony that up and see what you can do. I got to get, like, my investment back plus, like, 10% if you win big.
I mean, did we completely forget that I got third in Mark K's big poker tournament out of, like, 120-something people? Like, we're just going to bypass that part?
Yeah, but you don't go around bragging like you're good at it. Hamby says he's good at it, can compete with the big dogs. Like, you were playing a bunch of people that, quite frankly, probably didn't know how to play poker.
I mean, I feel like Ally McDeal knows how to play poker.
Oh, okay, she does. That's why you finished third. She probably beat you.
She definitely didn't. Nice try, though. And by the way, shout out to YB400. I agree. Since when am I a guest on my own show? That's cool. If that's how we're going to run it now, that's cool.
That's a true. Yeah. Hey, listen, I was looking for a segue here to kind of let everybody know what was going on back there, all right? YB400, settle down a little bit. Don't tell on me.
The disrespect.
You would have never have known
that.
Hey, let's jump right into some Jag stuff because we've been going fishing. We've been talking a little best bet. Let's get back to Jags, and I'll ask you this before we get to Cohen Sound, because I think we have Cohen Sound on Gardeck as well, the new the Arizona Cardinal player they just signed. We talked about yesterday getting a little older. I did a little bit more of that today. But they continue to find these veteran players that maybe can give them something. I don't know exactly what their expectation level is for some of these players, Austin, from Smoot to Agba to now Gardeck, who I know very little about, quite frankly, other than I know he's a special teamer as well. But it is interesting how they're piecing this puzzle together, and they're certainly not bashful about saying, yeah, we're beefing up the edge.
Yeah, I mean, as you should, right? Because we talk about beefing up the edge. And no, I'm not talking about a NASCAR rotation or a hockey rotation like we saw when it was with Ryan Nielsen. And I'm not talking about, having to play paper, rock, scissors to see who goes in. Maybe now you guys can play like, I Spy to see who goes in. But I think that, like more depth, the better, right? Like this is what training camp coming up is going to be for, right? It's going to be for who can kind of set themselves apart a little bit. It's never, it's never a bad thing to get more special teams guys if that's what you need as well. And it's never a bad thing to add some more experience. So whether these are just, kind of like, and when we hear about Smoot, I mean, obviously Smoot has played at a pretty high level. So if he can kind of replicate that a little bit from what he's done in past years, I think he's going to be a great fit here. But I think at the end of the day, if you can just get some more bodies in camp that can give you some sort of competition, why not?
Yeah, Liam Cohen, by the way, earlier today, this morning, then the last hour, talked about the addition of Gardeck. And Hamby, I don't know if you need a little bit more time to find it, but if we can hear this one about the newcomer from the Arizona Cardinals. Again, 7 years, 96 games, 17 sacks, got some fumble recoveries and interceptions in there as well. Also a special teamer. He was, I think, the salute to service winner for the Cardinals in 2019 and 23, if I remember reading that correctly as well. So another newcomer to the Jags. Here's what Liam Cohen had to say about him.
Yeah, just a ton of respect for the player, competing against him 2 times a year in LA, since 2018. And he was, every time we would go play the Arizona Cardinals, he was on the game wrecker board. So we would always kind of introduce the game wreckers to the players, and he was on there, whether it was for originally, for special teams, and then also for rushing the passer and creating some disruption. So it just gives us somebody a little bit different kind of style rusher, special teams demon. He was a captain in Arizona on special teams. He had 3 sacks in a game last year. I'm not sure how many people did that this past season, but he did, and had an interception in the following game. So you're just looking at continuing to find guys that can disrupt the game in a specific way, whether it's in the DPR or on special teams.
Wow, that's a pretty cool soundbite from Liam Cohen. And by the way, I hope I'm on other TV stations and other radio stations' game wrecker board. Like, that would be a hell of a thing to be on.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, I'm not sure how much
so?
on the radar you are, man, but I mean, I feel like you were on Jalen Ramsey's game record board when he blocked you, but
that's you know, think I'm on game wrecking boards, huh?
Yeah.
We don't have those.
I like it though.
I do like it too. That was a great visual though. Wasn't it what a great soundbite to be able to say. And did you have that? Do you remember that? Like, I'm sure you highlight players, right? That's like, hey, we got to do that. But you think of guys like Tyreek Hill and other players like that you're like, hey, we got to really focus. Don't let this guy beat us.
Oh, yeah.
But is that a common thing, or is that a different deal in like L.A. where they actually that's what they called it?
No, every team's got that. You know, whether they call them game changers, whether they call them game wreckers, like every like defensive meeting that you sit in, you know, the coordinator is going to highlight 2 or 3 offensive guys, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the running back, whether it's a wide receiver / tight end. Like, every meeting that you play against the team, you're going to have those. And like I said, there's different analogies, but we used to call them game changers. And then I think Jack Del Rio called them game wreckers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it's pretty pretty constant messaging. All right, let's get Liam Cohen on Dawon Smoot, another veteran guy the Jags bring back. It feels like he never left. I think it's going to be the case for Dawon Smoot. But what also is interesting about all these guys now, Agba, Smoot, Gardeck, like, if there is competition for that edge spot, I don't know if all these guys can play in the amount of time that they want to play. The Jags are really beefing this thing up. Will they all be on the roster? Will they all be up? Is there space for 3 different guys behind Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, potentially how you're used? Again, Gardeck could be used as special teamer too, so I would have got to believe there are different roles for him. Here's Cohen on bringing back Dawon Smoot.
You know, just, again, continuing to add competition to the room, consistency, a guy that obviously, you know, has roots in this area and you know, has strong friendships with some of the guys on the team. And then when you talk to guys that maybe have not been in this building, with Eric Ciano, our strength coach was with him in Buffalo, and he just said he was a tireless worker in the weight room, on the practice field, consistently going. You kind of had to pull him back at times. And that was something that continuing to get a little bit of veteran presence, guys that have played meaningful reps in this league that can give us some meaningful snaps, hopefully, and continue to create that competition we're looking for. So just getting to know him a little bit seems like obviously he's a grown man, and really cool to get to know him a little bit here.
Yeah, it's funny, the difference in those two sound bites. One is Liam Cohen and Gladstone seem to be very familiar with a guy like Gardeck out of Arizona, right, for obvious reasons. It seems like Tony Baselli and maybe others within the Jags organization seem to be very familiar with Dawon Smoot. You know what I'm getting at?
No, without a doubt, absolutely, yeah. I mean, especially to this period now, like, you're not just going to bring somebody in usually on a whim, right? It's going to be someone that you're familiar with, someone that, you know, people have good things to say about, or somebody that you have experience with. And when you talk about Smoot, yeah, I mean, he's definitely built his resume here. I think he was, you know, liked in the locker room for sure. You know, he had that injury that he had to overcome, and then he ends up going to Buffalo and kind of had a little bit of a resurgence there in Buffalo. I'm sure some of those guys are probably sad to see him go and not get re-signed. So, yeah, I mean, I think that bringing in a familiar face who I still think has something to prove is only going to benefit you.
Yeah, you know, by the way, it was fair to wonder, as Smoot was now, some 24, so, I don't know, 28, 29 years old, coming off a significant injury, how that was going to play. And so good for him to be able to go out there, play, contribute, be with the Bills, also probably pick some things up with the Bills, some of that DNA as well of winning, and come back here to Jacksonville and earn it again, the place that he really wants to be. We talked a lot about Smoot in the last couple of days, but you can really tell that he wants to be there. So, yeah, and Delphonic brings up a good point. When you look up Smoot, you know, Illinois, good point. He's from Illinois. I don't know. So does that make Shad and Tony a big fan? Is that why they were Pat Bryant fans? Like, I don't feel like that's the case, but that's maybe also me just saying that shouldn't be the case. Right, so I think there are a lot of reasons to like Smoot outside the fact that he went to Illinois. Is my point. You know, if it's one Why did Tim Tebow get an opportunity? Well, because Urban Meyer really liked Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
that one works. I don't think that usually works, but I get what you're saying. There's a little subconscious there as well. And Smoot has always been good in the community, good in the locker room, good in the building, and you know what, pretty darn good on the field too. So it makes a lot of sense. I do feel like that was probably more of a Tony influence as they're looking at a board filled with, hey, who can we get to fill out some of our deficiencies in our edge depth? And I got to believe Tony had a pretty good voice there as well, meaning Tony Baselli. Let's get to more Liam Cohen. Let's get the rookies before we get into the BTJ stuff, because we're going to talk a lot about Brian Thomas Jr. over the next few minutes. So, Hamby, I think there was an update on some of the progression of the rookies from Liam Cohen today.
So much learning, so much. They're doing a ton of extra. Like, you walk out here, I think it was about 7 this morning, got finished working out and saw Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter out here walking through. So that's just one example. You know, you see the rookies, they do development periods every day. Right at the end of practice, why we kind of leave 15 minutes per day at the end is for them to go in and get developmental work. So that has been really, I think, key to those guys learning the system, getting updated, because, man, they got thrown in the mix. We're a month already into the install. And so they've had to play catch up. And that's kind of what those developmental periods are for. And it's hard to truly judge it at the moment. You know, I think I just see, okay, are we getting lined up properly? Are we getting off on the right cadence? Are we not making total bust mistakes? The finer details will come for those guys in training camp. Right now, it's more about that broad scope learning.
Yeah, it's a lot of learning. It takes a lot. I think there's a bunch on the plate of these guys. If you just would put yourself in their situation, and Austin's been in their situation. But think about this, and this is not like your work. Even if there's an acclimation process to your workplace or to my industry and our workplace, there's always that when you're new. But you're talking about playing with guys now where you've been in a scope of an 18 to 23-year-old range. Now you're walking in here at 21, 22, 23 years old, and you're playing with a guy who's 32 years old, right, who's been in the league for a decade. You're playing in a league that is much better than where you've played. It doesn't matter where you've played and how good you've been. This is the premium spot to be. And you're playing with guys that are really good. So I think there's a lot to acclimate to, and then the information. The one thing about college is they have made it pretty simple on collegiate athletes, Austin, to learn things and to operate. That is not the case at the NFL level, and it specifically doesn't look to be the case with Liam Cohen's offense. I think there is something to the depth of Cohen's offense that needs to have some attention early in the season to see if these guys can get it down, practice it, rep it, have it as a back of their hand type of thing, and so they're not thinking about it, and we have procedural lineup problems, and you're not playing as fast as you should in the first month of the year, because the Jags can't afford that in the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of the year. They've got to be able to hit the ground running and be able to perform pretty quick.
No, absolutely. And I think when you talk about the college game, and now you talk about so much turnover in terms of players coming in, players coming out, you have to make it, whether it's on offense or defense, you have to make it very player friendly, very easy to digest and pick up, just because you have so many new players coming in and out, right? Once you get to the pros, and you know, I've talked about this before a little bit, but every defense that I played on was a little bit different. There was some defenses where it was a phone book, and there was some defenses where it was just like one sheet of paper you had to know. You know, every coach brings something different, but the fact of the matter is, we're talking about an offensive-minded coach where you're going to have a lot of motions, you're going to have a lot of formations. Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a learning period, and this is where, you know, if you go to an OTA and you go watch rookie minicamp, like, no, these guys aren't going to look perfect. There's going to be mistakes, as there should be, because that's when you kind of, you know, fine-tune everything. And then by the time you get to whatever that third, fourth preseason game, you should have a pretty good idea of, you know, what the goals are and what the offense is going to be. And by the time it's week one, like you said, Brent, you can't really afford these mistakes. You can't afford these false starts, guys lining up in the wrong position. So this is the time to address it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear more from Liam Cohen and then get into Brian Thomas Jr. One quick thought before I move on from that. I think it catches your ears when Liam Cohen says, hey, yeah, Travis Hunter and Trevor Lawrence were out there at 7 o'clock this morning working. Now, is that abnormal? Probably not. I mean, this is what they do. This is their profession. It's their job. But that's kind of nice to hear. You like that. And then you start visualizing things. And this is what we talked about a little bit earlier on the show. You visualize how this looks. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. If you just take the other 9 players off the field for a moment and in your mind have this visualization of those 2 guys lined up on the outside, for instance, and you just start, I can only imagine what Liam Cohen thinks about when he goes to bed at night with those 2 thoughts like in his mind, or when he's having coffee in the morning or going to a meeting. It's just, that's exciting. There's an electricity about that. There's an excitement about that. I don't know how there can't be. I don't think that's overplaying it. These 2 are exciting players that could really change the landscape of this offense. Maybe even Trevor Lawrence's career really help him out. And obviously you hope the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's Liam Cohen on his impressions. And by the way, he's been wowed by Brian Thomas Jr. over the last couple of months. Here's what he said today about BTJ.
I saw so much of it. Obviously a different entity with Cooper Kupp in LA, where you're getting a lot of double coverage, whether it more so be from the slot, where maybe they have a nickel playing outside leverage and then a safety or a linebacker inside of them to double. And then go to Tampa with Mike Evans, and he's more that outside receiver that's getting the corner and the safety double. So it's really just about creating balance. And okay, if we put them on the same side, well, can we dictate maybe where the double may go and help maybe get one-on-one coverage elsewhere? So, as we go and see maybe how people defend us that way with Brian, it'll help kind of dictate whether we want to get the one-on-one matchup on the inside or on the outside, at the running back position, at the tight end position. So it kind of helps dictate terms, even though it can be annoying at times to get double teams.
Yeah, hey, that's pretty. I like that. That's a real frustration, obviously, for players, Austen. Right? It's like, dang, man, I want the ball. Right? Those guys want the ball, but what a great sign of respect. And we started to see it last year. Brian Thomas Jr. Certainly got doubled up, and expect more of it this year.
Oh, without a doubt. But this is where Travis Hunter coming in is gonna. I feel like gonna kind of help Brian Thomas Jr. out as well, right? Like once again, we just talked about the game wreckers. Well, obviously Brian Thomas Jr. is a game wrecker. But if you can take some of that edge off with Travis Hunter, that's only going to open things up for your offense. And keep in mind, like, we're expecting both guys to hopefully find their shine and get their targets. But this is also going to be, I think, a very run-centric team as well. So you have to be able to pound the rock as well.
All right, here's the question I have for you and Hamby. Do you think Brian Thomas Jr. will help Travis Hunter more, or do you think Travis Hunter will help Brian Thomas Jr. more? Where's the weight of the scale?
Hamby?
Man, that's a good one. I think, look, because at the end of the day, Brian Thomas Jr., without a ton of help from anybody else last year, put up Pro Bowl numbers, right? So I would be slightly hesitant to say that anybody is going to come in and be his help, right? Because he is still the star of the offense until, I don't want to say like dethroned or unseated, but he is still the star of the offense, right? Without a true number 2 at all in stretches of last year, he looked like a top 8 wide receiver in the league. So right away, I think the immediate answer is he's going to help Travis Hunter, because as much as I think Travis Hunter is an elite receiver, I think Brian Thomas Jr. displays more elite traits as far as route running and speed that Travis Hunter could use he needs the one-on-ones more than Brian Thomas Jr. does. And I could be wrong. And maybe we see, because of how good his catch radius is and the body control that we talked a lot about yesterday, that it doesn't really matter. But I would like to say right now that it would be more beneficial for Travis Hunter to be one-on-one because Brian Thomas Jr. is drawing the double than vice versa.
Yeah, so I think he said BTJ helps Travis Hunter more.
Yeah, and I agree with that. For me, it's the obvious answer is this. I think if you look at what Ted McMillan had to go to in Carolina, he showed up there day one in camp, and it's like, you got to be the guy now. Like, you got to help Bryce Young. Like, we invested in you. You have to elevate the quarterback. You have to elevate this team. Yeah, you gave up a lot to get Travis Hunter. You sacrificed some draft capital and everything. But it's not like Travis Hunter's coming in the situation saying, all right, well, you're the top guy now. Like, you have to go out there and help out Trevor Lawrence. Like, yeah, you're going to be a part of it, but you still have Brian Thomas Jr. So I just think Brian Thomas Jr. helps out Trevor Lawrence because, to me, it takes out some of the pressure of Travis Hunter. I think, if Travis Hunter goes to the Cleveland Browns, and they have Jerry Jeudy there, who's obviously he's a Pro Bowler, so he's a great wide receiver himself. But I just feel like if he goes to Cleveland, he's got to be the man. If he would have went to Carolina, you got to be the man. You go to Jacksonville, and you got to be good. Like, they sacrificed for you, but we still have Brian Thomas Jr. So, hey, just, play accordingly, learn the playbook and everything, and then essentially just kind of get in where you fit in. And that's what I think the role of Travis Hunter is going to be. So I just think that it takes off a lot of pressure having a teammate like Brian Thomas Jr.
That's good stuff. I actually disagree with you guys. When I asked the question, I kind of think more Travis Hunter will help Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right. I think this is a really involved and has some depth kind of question because of everything you just said, and I thought you just did a great job with it. I also think the expectation now on Brian Thomas Jr. in year 2 is so high. Totally different than when he's picked 23rd overall with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, so much of that expectation, so much of the eyeballs around the National Football League, probably even from defenses and everyone else, even here in Jacksonville, are really going to slide to Travis Hunter to some degree. And so I think that helps this year 2 process where now he's got a little bit of a target on him. And so from that almost psychology standpoint, I think that helps. I just also think some of these in my mind, these quick passes to Travis Hunter and the ability to have to defend that when he has the ball in his hands, I think will really open up the down the field stuff for Brian Thomas Jr. In my mind, again, I don't know if I'm right, but I feel like I see Brian Thomas Jr. still down the field more than Travis Hunter. We'll see if that works out, and I think that they'll both do that to some degree. But I feel like the short game plays a little bit more into get the ball into Travis Hunter's hands. The long game still plays into the biggest threat that Brian Thomas Jr. can be and the most dangerous thing for a defense to have to defend. So, I don't know. The answer to this is we're both right? They're going to help each other. And I think the overriding answer is they're really going to help Trevor Lawrence, and they're really going to help Liam Cohen. That is probably the overriding answer, Austin.
No, it is. I just can't think of a time where a team gave up, some pretty good capital at number 2 overall at wide receiver, and we can sit here and say, hey, just, at the wide receiver position, man, we're going to need you to do good, but just take your time, learn the offense and everything, and we'll see what happens. When the Falcons traded for Julio Jones and gave up so much, Julio had to be the guy day one. When the Lions got Calvin Johnson had to be the guy day one. We hope Travis Hunter can put up huge numbers, obviously on offense, and then he can do his thing on defense as well. But I don't think we're sitting here saying, hey, Travis Hunter, you better be a Pro Bowler, you better be over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns your rookie year. I don't think anybody's asking for that, and that's not necessarily a bad situation to be in, just because once again you got a guy in Brian Thomas Jr. who can kind of do it himself as well.
Yeah, good stuff there. Brian Thomas Jr., by the way, on the podium today, and he's not a man of many words, as we know. But here's a couple of minutes on some back and forth with the Jacksonville media in the last hour. Brian Thomas Jr. on the podium.
It's been pretty good, pretty fun. He's a fun dude. Super cool, I ain't gonna say that one. super cool, super fun. I mean, he's just a fun guy to be around. A lot of energy, super fun.
Looks like y'all been competing in a lot of the drills just against each other, kind of pushing each other a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. We compete in everything we do. We come out here each and every day, just coming out here striving to be the best.
You said before he was going to bother you, not stop talking and not stop asking questions to you. Has he gotten to that point yet?
Yeah, He been asking a lot of questions, but I mean, that's just him trying to be the best that he can be. Just like talking like through routes, talking through little things, plays, and why we run these certain plays versus these certain looks. So just like little things like that. I mean, he wants to be the best. We both want to be the best. So we just come out and compete each and every day, and whatever he needs help with, I'm gladly help him.
Have you gotten to that point where you're like, oh, not another question, or no, not yet?
Nah, it would never be like that because the guys that was here last year, they helped me out throughout the whole season, and they were there for me. So anything that he needs help with, I'll be there for him.
Is that important that you've kind of taken on more of a leadership role now that you have some games and seasons under your belt?
Yeah, that's super important for me. That's one of my goals, just to become a better leader and just be there for my teammates when they need me. So yeah, that's super important for me.
First time you saw Travis out here on the field, what was your first thought?
I actually came out here for when they had the rookie minicamp. I was up here, so I came out. I just stepped out here and looked at him doing like the drills and stuff. It was really just how quick he was and how detailed he was. When he was like he might have got a drill wrong or something. He was just hopping back in line, going right back at it, and just trying to find ways to do it right and just find ways to be the best that he can be.
Are you excited about the possibilities of him on one side, you on the other?
What'd you say?
Are you excited about the possibility of him on one side, you on another, and how that's going to work, and you know how that's going to take some attention away from you or some coverage away from you at times?
I'm super excited just to have him and Diami over there on the other side. I feel like they're both going to play a big role in the offense. They're both going to help us out and push us to go where we want to go. So yeah, I'm super excited to have both of those guys out there with me.
Well, there he is, Brian Thomas Jr., a little bit up mostly on Travis Hunter, of course. And De'Ami Brown's going to be the lost guy in all of this, as we know, and he probably knows. I think the team thinks he can really help them as well, and hopefully that is the case. But, BTJ, where he was last year this time to now where he is, like in a year's time, really 12, 13, 14 months, whatever you want to label that as, he does kind of feel like an older guy already, Austen. You know, I mean, I think he's pretty confident. Obviously, what he just did, I don't know if that helps you grow up fast. Not to say he was immature, never really presented himself like he was immature. Just saying to already be thinking, hey, you're the guy that's kind of the older guy in the room, or one of the older guys, or familiar, and they're asking you questions. You're almost forced to become an older guy quick here in Jacksonville now for BTJ.
No, I mean, there wasn't a lot to like about last year in that offense, but I think one thing you do like is the fact that Brian Thomas Jr. did have to grow up really quickly. He was a rookie, and you had great guys around. You had the Evan Ingrams, you had the Christian Kirks, but when everybody got hurt, he was kind of the last man standing, and he had to fill into that role to be really that go-to guy. And I think he passed that test with flying colors. So, yeah, I mean, I think once you're thrust into a role where you're kind of the go-to receiver and there's really no other option, well, then how can't you grow up a little quicker, right? So I do like the attitude that he's bringing out. I do like the demeanor where it's like, hey, my resume speaks for itself. Maybe not the most outspoken, egocentric guy that there is on this team, but I can still, provide, help. I can still provide what it takes to be a great wide receiver and things like that. And at the end of the day, I'm just really impressed because he sounded like my son sounded like after the whole Minecraft movie. If you would have interviewed my son after the Minecraft movie, just with the questions and everything, he would have sounded exactly like Brian Thomas Jr. Like my son's got more of the Travis Hunter personality, but after that Minecraft movie, he was a little pissed off, but like, yeah, I'm answering a lot of questions right now, and my dad won't really leave me alone, but I'm keep on answering questions because that's what I got to do.
Yeah, it's funny how they were trying to go there. It was like they were trying to present it as if Travis Hunter was that little kid, or in this case, your case, dad, asking all these questions, and being like, all right, stop. Yeah. Right? That's not the case. Hey, Hamby, one quick thought about it. I find it pretty interesting. This is a new offense for Brian Thomas Jr. as well.
Yeah.
I get it. He's comfortable with the league. I get it. He did it last year. But it is a new offense for him, too. He's still a young guy. And the college game is different. It's not like he's been in 4 different offenses. So we talk about acclamation for Trevor and for the running backs and the offensive line and Brenton Strange's new role and Travis Hunter because he's a young guy. There's got to be an element of that, too, for Brian Thomas Jr., and I wonder if we have to have a little bit of a patience level with some of that in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he's 22 years old. I mean, we're talking about elder statesmen or anything like that. He's literally 22. Like Travis Hunter is the same. They're the exact same age. And outside of Trenton Irwin that we just brought in, that the Jags just brought in, I mean, De'Ami Brown is like the oldest guy in the room, and he's 25. Or Austin Trammell's the oldest, and he's 26. Like, we don't have a receiver other than Irwin, who was just signed yesterday, that's older than 26. And I'm not saying Trammell, no, like, nothing against him. He's not a contributor. Like, he's going to be fighting for a spot, right? So your front four are BTJ 22, Travis Hunter 22, De'Ami Brown 25, and Parker Washington 23. And it's all a first offense for all of them, and one of them's on a new team. I mean, all of them are going to feel like they're on a new team. De'Ami Brown's coming from a new team, and Travis Hunter's his first year in the league. So, I mean, it could not be. It is the least experienced receiving core in the National Football League, bar none. And there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so that puts a lot of onus, in my opinion, on Edgar Bennett, the receivers coach, obviously Liam Cohen and this offensive staff to translate it as quick as possible, and really Trevor Lawrence at the end of the day. We ask all the time, hey, you're getting paid big bucks, you're a franchise quarterback, you got to make guys better. Well, some of that looks like, hey, how do I throw it and put them in a good position to get a ball? Sometimes it also looks like, how do I communicate with a player and share the knowledge of what I've seen now for 4 years. He's been around the block compared to these guys quite a bit more. Let's take a timeout. Brent and Austin Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Kevin Sullivan's going to join us. He stopped by Best Bet St. Augustine. Hey, don't forget our friends at Republic Services and how you can be more efficient as a recycler. RecyclingSimplified.com for 3 easy steps that let you know how to do it at your workplace and at home. RecyclingSimplified.com. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
If you look good, you feel good, and the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with the purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
This has been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
What's up, Hamby?
Alex Lodis is up for the Golden Spikes Award. He's a finalist, one of 3, which is basically the Heisman Trophy of college baseball. Remember that moment at the baseball grounds against Florida this year? What a moment for him. He's had a lot of moments. It's just unbelievable how good Alex Lodis has been in his Florida State career, even going back to the UNF days. And he's a top 50, I think I saw, draft pick. We'll see if that's where he goes, if he comes out, all that stuff. His cousin, by the way, is plays for Georgia, Texas, top 75, top 80. So that's pretty good going on. Florida State will play Oregon State in the Super Regionals. They don't start until Saturday. A lot of the Super Regionals start tomorrow. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane down in South Florida. Jason Hamby in the booth in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network studios. And here at Best Bet St. Augustine, we say hello to the Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. He joins us as well. And what's up, man?
Man, good to be here. Hadn't seen you in a while, except online. So.
I know, it's been a bit. Say hello to Austen Lane. That's him mean mugging that everybody else can see. We can see him, though, down there.
How you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
Man, good to be seen. Like I tell everybody, good to be seen. Be out and about, running around. Been a good off season. Good time for me. Every day's an off season, so it's all good.
I tell you what, Austin, I know you're far away from it, and so am I, but I've seen 3 or 4 people that have now been retired for a few years in the last 2 weeks. They all look good, man. This retirement life must be awesome.
Well, man, I will tell you about that when I get there in 20-something years, but yeah, it's something to look forward to one day, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just trying to get a new contract. Forget about trying to get retired.
There we go. Hold out Brent coming up. I like that.
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't suck now. I can tell you that.
And plus, you got a grandbaby coming. You guys are excited.
6 weeks now.
6
First
weeks.
one, so yeah, we're pretty fired up. I told Brent earlier, my son, I don't know, about 3 months ago, I'm talking to him. He's like, I'm starting to get nervous. Is that normal? I said, yeah, for the next 25 years.
Yeah. Hey, Austin, you just get nervous when you go to Minecraft movies with Roden.
Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing, Coach. I mean, just when I think that, I still have my finger on the youth and everything, and I know what's cool with the kids. Yeah, not even close. I'm old. I'm not sure if you guys seen this in hand, but you can relate to this a little bit, I think. The Giants put out something where it was these AI characters, and I can't even remember any of their names, but they're asking the players, do you recognize, and they're all saying these crazy names.
I had no idea like what their social media department was even doing in it. Like I was completely lost. I'm like, these are the new caliber of NFL guys, and like I try to stay up to date, and I have zero idea what they're talking about.
All right, now you know what I feel
There you
like
go.
almost every time we talk about anything culture. Were you nervous when you had when Ronan was being born? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Well, so I wasn't like necessarily nervous. I mean, obviously I'm a bigger dude, so I was kind of afraid to hold him that very first time. But I remember the nurse thought I was gonna pass out. So like when he was born, I was like I got emotional, like which is I feel like a pretty common thing to happen. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like I hear a nurse goes, "He's going down." I go, "No, I'm fine. I'm just like I'm a little emotional. Like get off me. Like let me do my thing here."
The best part is the nurse knows the symptoms because that's happened to her before.
I guess so. And by the way, if I was really going down, she wasn't going to catch me, so I'm not really sure what the plan was.
Good point. Yeah, I wonder, Hamby will experience this someday. Stuart Weber, we haven't really talked to him much. He just had a baby.
Okay.
He comes back to work on Saturday, by the way. Happy birthday early to Stuart. That's birthday tomorrow. So I'm sure there's some – the biggest nervousness that I remember feeling with the kids was putting them in the car seat and coming home. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, that's when it hit you like, oh, this crap is real. Like, the nurses don't come with you.
Right. Yeah, there's no directions like, here, get in the car and go home. And you're like, wait, where are the directions?
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
And Brett, hold up. So has Stuart not been back to work since he had the baby?
No.
The thing's like already 2. It's talking by now. How much time do you get off? I got to have me another baby. I gotta get on that. No, that's how it was.
Nowadays, man, they get like 12 weeks off.
Oh, man.
My daughter was born at like 2 in the morning, and I was at practice at 8 in the morning the next day.
I mean, Stuart's kid's gonna walk into the office. Mr. Martin, nice to meet you. Heard a lot about you. I'm like, what are we doing?
Stu's gonna be like, get the camera, let's go.
Hey, there's a really good chance Stuart's kid's already taller than him.
Oh man.
Hey, this is what you get. You know what's crazy about what you guys are saying? Is we don't get probably at our workplace nearly as much as a lot of people.
Right, yeah.
Like and I don't know if this is good or bad. It's just wild. It is eye-popping. It's a definitely get off my lawn type of thing where it's like, wait a minute, this didn't it's the same way. It's like, couldn't wait to get back to work really when the kids were born. I was like, let's go. Yeah. But there's somebody I talked to recently where they get 16, the dad.
Right.
The dad gets 16 weeks.
Holy cow.
For the year and over a year's 16 weeks and over a year's time, like you can use it so you can like split it up.
Right.
So if you want to take like 8 weeks now and then a little bit, you sprinkle it in. You had to use it within a year or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I'm like, wow, 16 weeks. Like, holy cow, like you forced into that?
Man.
Don't tell your wife that you actually get 16 weeks. I'll be back to work.
I wish I could have called John Fox, and I played for the Bears, and be like, hey, man, just had a baby, so training camp, going to have to sit this one out, and we'll see you guys for the regular season. Like, no, I had to tell my wife at the time, like, hey, duty calls, we'll see ya, like, best of luck.
Still got to pay the bills.
That is that is wild. Hey, your buddy Marty Lee. I mean, I feel like we've talked about Marty a bunch, right? We have a whole after the game segment on Marty. He retired First Coast Bucks head coach, but he really retired this time. I know he's thought about it forever.
Right.
Well, they've replaced him now.
Yeah, he's been replaced, so it's official. I actually talked to him 2 Fridays or Saturdays ago, and he's like, "Yeah, it's done. It's over and done with. Yeah, I'll hang in." I go, "You sure?" I hadn't seen nothing about it, so it ain't on Twitter, so I don't know. And then, but yeah, he said it was done. So yeah, it's good. It's great. I mean, the guy's been there. He's an institution, and then I guess he'll go probably one more year, and then he's done teaching and everything.
Okay.
From what I understand, but his main concern is who's going to cut the grass after him.
Yeah, he might want. He told us he still wants to do that a little bit.
Yeah. So. Which is cool, which is good. Give you something to do.
Yeah, 28 years as the head coach at First Coast, and Coach Parker has been a long-time assistant, so that's a nice for him, right? He kind of waited his time and earned this opportunity.
Yeah, and then Jarvis played there, a good guy. it makes me old now. There's like 8 head coaches in Duval County that I've coached against. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Jarvis, good guy. Just worked his way. JV, like it used to be. He used to coach JV for a few years, and then you'd move up and be a position coach, and then you'd be the coordinator, and then he's the head coach. And it's in good hands. He's a buck. As I told Marty, was the mayor of Duval Station Road, and Jarvis now is the vice mayor, as I tell him, because he's been in that community and everything a long time. So that's a good thing. I know Coach is happy that it worked out that way, Coach Lee.
I know Austin's had a bunch of opportunities to maybe coach at some point. When will you scratch the itch to coach when this is all done? Like, what are you going to do? At some point, MMA is going to change. You can still do this.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to – I got a feeling you're going to have to scratch that itch at some point. Now, maybe it'll be with Ronan or something else.
Well,
I don't know.
It's funny that you bring that up because last night I got the phone call, so my son's going to have his first year at tackle football, and he's going to play at he's going to play for Mandarin, like the Mandarin, I guess, like club tackle football team. And he also told me, he's like, they're looking for coaches too, Dad. And I put your name down because I figured, you play in the NFL, so you must be a pretty good coach. I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, but please next time confide in me. Don't just put my name on lists and say my dad's down to do it when I'm in camp and stuff. I got stuff going on, but I don't know. Yeah, but I told you before. I think at the high school level or even the Pop Warner level, I think I'd get a lot of benefit from it. I think I'd love to share knowledge and inspire kids. I have been asked, at some colleges and everything to help out and be defensive line coach and it's like I've told you before, man, I know how much time and effort and energy goes into that. And I would probably do the team a disservice just because I'm not sure if I could give my full self to that right now where it sits. Now, if you talk to me in 5-6 years, who knows? But I've seen it firsthand. I know how hard coaches work. I mean, I know how hard great coaches work. And it's a big commitment.
Yeah, it is, but also a rewarding one, too, especially. I could see you being really good at that, especially at that level. Hey, before we end the show today, I've got an SEC guy in Hamby back in the booth, a Big Ten guy with Wisconsin, Austin. Sure. You're an ACC guy with Florida State. So we can end with this. We've had this topic all week, never really got to it. Is the SEC, too big of a bully on the block right now in college sports? Do they have too much power? In what is going on? Greg Sankey, the commissioner, whether it's moving the college football playoff to a 16 team, the format they want to play, they're kind of the last ones to kind of jump in on this. Everybody's waiting on what they think, but it could be a domino effect, whether it's basketball or some things going on in college sports in general, from transfer portal to NIL. They have so much money, so they can do whatever else. And it seems like they're trying to do anything to benefit them. There have been recent other conferences that said, hey, you guys have to preserve what's good for the sport as well and look out for the whole thing, even though you are the monopoly right now, in essence. And now they're even teaming up and tagging up with the Big Ten, it sounds like, on a lot of these issues, too. What's your thought as an ACC guy?
Well, I think money is the key word.
Of course.
You said money. And I think we're going to the super conference. I think that's coming.
It's coming.
I think there's going to be 64 teams, and that's it. And it's going to go back to
maybe just for football.
Yeah. Maybe, but I think it's going to go back to like it used to be, Austin, 1A, 1AA. And so the top 64 are going to be D1, and then the next group of, Power 4, and then it's going to be Group of 5. It's just going back to 1 and 1AA. That's how I look at it, and that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, Brent, I mean, you know when it comes to SEC how I feel about it, right? You can go ahead and call them the bully. Well, they're like the bully that was like Johnny in The Karate Kid, where he was the hot stuff for a while until Ralph Macchio came in and, showed him what was up, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we didn't win the championship. Now we have to go do our own thing. Well, basketball, we held our thing there. And baseball, Murray State kind of embarrassed us a little bit for Ole Miss. So I understand, when things aren't going your way, just like Johnny did in The Karate Kid, you have to make 6 or 7, different series and television shows just to try to keep your name relevant. I understand how it works. Hamby, your thoughts?
Okay, so first of all the conferences signed a memorandum of understanding 2 years ago. So if you're pissed that the SEC and the Big Ten have too much power, then call the ACC, call the Big 12, call whoever, every other conference. They literally signed over their rights on the dotted line saying, hey, SEC, Big Ten, you guys can control the future of college football. Y'all can control what we do with the playoff. That's a thing. People seem to forget that. They signed over their rights and said, SEC, Big Ten, y'all lead it. Now, everybody's pointing the finger at SEC because of Sankey. He's becoming the big bad villain of college football, and I get it. But guess what? Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, is right there with them. He's just letting Sankey take all the blows because Sankey is out there talking to the media all the time, and Petitti's just laying back in the shadows, dodging all the bullets. But he's right there with them. They want the exact same things. They're fighting for the exact same guarantees in the playoff and the automatic or the 4 or 5 automatic bids within their conference. They want the same things. Sankey's just taking all the shots. So the SEC is getting all the hate. I get it, but the Big Ten's right there with them.
Oh, don't.
Well, yeah.
Hold up. Okay, Big Ten wasn't trying to sweep the leg of Notre Dame like the SEC was. We saw how that turned out. So let's go ahead and let's keep it within reason now, Hamby. You try to put them in a body bag, and Notre Dame said, "Nah, we're all good."
The Karate Kid reference is awesome. I'm not even sure if Hamby's ever
Probably
seen
not.
the Karate
I
Kid
wasn't
anymore.
even born yet.
I've seen it.
Yeah, put them in a body bag. It's an interesting argument, one, because I don't have an allegiance to anything, but also if you take us out of the Southeast, you'd really wonder how the rest of the country feels about what this looks like perception-wise. I think we've got to be really – I like what the other conferences said. You've got to look out for the betterment of the entire thing. That's part of your responsibility. That's when you start looking out for just yourself or just your entities, you get in trouble, I believe, as a sport. I think that's why we're already here. One other thing about signing that whatever referendum or whatever you said that word was, but I mean the game's changed already so much in the last 2 years. So whatever you signed 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it has changed so much with NIL, transfer portal, and just this where we're going in college athletics, and it might change again. It might even change again. You mentioned the 64 teams. Mm-hmm. So it's fascinating right now. But I do agree. I think the SEC and Sankey and just in general to the outside world feels like the Duke and the New York Yankees right now. They're very unlikable. Like there's just not a likability to them. And you don't feel as strongly about that as the Big Ten. Maybe they're hiding in the right place.
Everybody doesn't hate the Big Ten, but everybody hates the ACC that aren't involved in the ACC.
Yeah, it's in the SEC, All right, Kevin Sullivan, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, man.
Good luck with the baby. And going scalloping next week.
Scalloping.
Yeah, how about that? Have a good workout, Austen Lane.
Appreciate you.
We'll do it again tomorrow. Put a bow on the week. On Friday, we'll have some conversations with Tank Bigsby, Parker Washington, and our full one-on-one with Travis Hunter tomorrow on the show. With that sit-down, more tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30. That'll do it from Best Bet St. Augustine here on a Thursday. Thanks for hanging out with us, and don't forget to come on down for the Belmont Stakes on Saturday here in St. Augustine, or the Poker Atlas Tour, which starts today all the way through June 15th. Have a good day, everybody.